babashuaib, the correctional officer, born in Accra, Ghana, a Quranic researcher and a critical thinker based on religion, who does online lectures based on the guidance of the Quran on platforms such as Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok since 2018. In Finland, and 13 years, QBE, in Classical Arabic and MSA in Quranic Arabic. The author of the Refer to the Quran, which helps every novice to understand the steps towards understanding the Great Quran and the guidance of God in it.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Peace be upon you all. Kindly share. Yeah, Abdullah Abbas, I see you. Afala Takilun, I see you. The King of Truth. I see you all. Thank you all for coming. Peace be upon you all. For those on Facebook and YouTube, I see you, Mohammed Noordin. I see Abdullah Abbas, LV Gongoli. He says, brother, I want to discuss regarding Qibla. Why does God say turn your face to sacred mosque? Okay, I'll come to that. We have Sister Alma Johnson. We have Tariq Ayub, Dangana, Ndagi. We have Mom. Salam to you. We have Rashid, Subraitia, Hassan Abib, Musa Rabogo, Donuru, Forbade, yeah, Abdurrahim Adam, Curiously Inquisitive, Koralk. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for coming. Peace be upon you all. Kindly share so other people can join. I know Baba Seidu, Salis, Sister Rashida, Mawia, Sister Jamila, all will be watching later. So peace be upon you all. I know Abdul Samad also will be joining. Peace be upon you. And the rest. Sister Diana, I see you all. Haruna Garba, Haruna Ghana, I see you all. Thank you all for coming. So I'm streaming live from Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. 3 streams simultaneously the same time, right? But however, for those on TikTok, if I'm sharing the screen via Facebook and YouTube, you might not be able to see it. Izharul Haq says, I see you next time, my beloved brother. No problem. We'll have Bandland. Yeah, salam to you. Peace be upon you. Thank you for coming. So Avalata Kilun says, Baba marching up like he's going in the ring with the mushriks. Yeah, well, obviously, I'm not only in the ring with the mushriks, with the pagans also, the pagans among the Christians. So I'm all out, you understand? So yeah, I see you, Nuruddin. Yes, Nuruddin Ismail. Yes. Faris King. Salam to you all. Thank you all. However, before I start, I'm going to play a strange video, right? It's a short video, but it's a strange video. I'm going to play it and I'll leave it to play because I have to get some tea, right? So let me play that video. You get to hear something interesting, something with this guy called Mohammed HOBLOS. Right, I find the video very funny. For me, it's ridiculous, right? But I have to play the video for you, the audience, to just listen. Then I can break it down a bit before I move on to the main topic, right? Because I've been asked several questions during last week and this week, and I didn't get the chance to answer them. right? So this is the time I can, try to break it down, right? So before I go on to start, I'll just play the video, then you get to hear. Yeah. So 7 layers says, lol, I met that guy, the angry one. Yes. Yeah, he is very harsh. Yes. Yeah, HOBLOS. Yeah, that's the shouting guy. Hey, wallahi, wallahi, if you don't go, you go to hell. You hear me? That guy. Yes. So you know, right? I'm just trying to impersonate him a bit. But the guy is ridiculous. I don't know how he became a cleric. Nobody should put him as to classify him as a scholar, right? It just happened. Unfortunately, he just got to became famous because he likes shouting. That's why he got famous. But it doesn't have anything in the head, right? So I'm going to play the video.
You know, there's always a brother in the crowd. There is always a brother in the crowd that says, brother, not me, man. You don't know my past. You don't know the places I've been. And you don't know the things I've done. There's always that brother. My brothers, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he tells us in the authentic hadith in Bukhari, he tells us of a man who killed 99 people. How many did he kill? 99. So my brother, your past, the past of the brother sitting next to you, in fact, every single person sitting in this room and their past collectively, we don't even come to a quarter of this man. He killed 99 people. Authentic hadith in Bukhari. Open up Riyadh Salihin, chapter 2, repentance. Look at it there. So after 99 people, something entered his heart and he wanted to make tawbah. So he asks the people, he says to them, where can I go? I want to make tawbah. So the people said to him, look, there's this guy who's a abid, he worships Allah day and night. If there's anyone you're going to ask, go and ask him. So the man goes to him and says to him, brother, I've killed 99 people and I want to make tawbah. Can Allah forgive me? So this abid, and just a side point, my brothers, this is the danger when you seek knowledge from someone who looks religious. But bro, he's in the masjid every day, bro. This guy's pumped. I asked him and he said it's all right. We all do this. Brother, his beard's like that. Wallah, his beard's like that and he's always in the masjid. I asked him and he said it's all right. So he asks the abid, this guy's worshipped Allah day and night. This guy's never seen anything. This guy's in worship day and night. So when he hears 99 people, the guy freaks out. He can't comprehend killing one man, let alone 99. He says to him, Allah can never forgive you. So the man goes, well, since Allah's not going to forgive me, anyway, bro. So he kills him as well. But he polished him off because he didn't like his fatwa. It shows you the ruthlessness of this man. He killed a abid, not someone who offended him, or someone who, eyeballed him, or someone who opposed him out on the streets. He disrespected, no, this guy's a worshipper, bro. But because he didn't like his fatwa, he killed him and made him 100. Authentic hadith, Bukhari, he says, but Rasulullah says, but there was something in his heart. He really wanted to turn back towards Allah. So he asked. And then the people said to him, look, don't hang around here, otherwise you kill us all. There's an area, there's a scholar there. There's a scholar there. Go and speak to him. It's a long story, I'll cut it short. He goes to the scholar, he says to him, I've killed 100, can Allah forgive me? Now look at the difference between when you ask, the guy in the mosque, the guy with the big beard, when you ask him and you ask a alim. He says to the man, and who can stand between you and tawbah? Who? Now we're talking. The man's thinking, now we're talking. I like this thing. He says to him, for you to make tawbah, you got to leave this environment. It's a very bad environment, and the people, they're not helping you in doing good. There is a town, there is an area, go there, there are good people. These people will help you worship Allah, and they will help you pull up and change. So the man was sincere. He packs his stuff and heads off to the town. On the way, death meets him, he dies. So the angels of forgiveness come down and the angels of punishment come down. And there's an argument. The angels of mercy said, but he made tawbah. The angels of punishment said, no, 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 he killed 100 people and he didn't complete his tawbah, he was on the way. So Allah sends down a third to be a judge between them. The angel says, measure the distance. If he is closer to the town of sin, then let the angels of punishment take him. But if he is closer to the town of forgiveness, then let the angels of mercy take him. So they measured the earth, and unfortunately for him, he was closer to the town of sin. Authentic hadith in Bukhari, Allah ordered the earth to change its dimensions and made him one hand span closer to the town of piety. $100 people.
Thank God. The guy likes shouting too much. Please, he likes shouting too much, too much. So much shouting. Just a minute. Yeah. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you had HOBLOS, right? This is the guy they call Muhammad HOBLOS. He's from Greece, right? Yeah, and you had the video is, I think it's about 5 minutes video. Is it 4 minutes? Let me see. Is it 4 minutes? Yeah, it's about 5 minutes video, right? 5 minutes. And that is HOBLOS for you. Why is it for you? Let me skim through the video. The video is all about, he's trying to say, this narration is from Sahih al-Bukhari, trying to say the Prophet was the one narrating this story, and that somebody killed 99 people, and then he came to a scholar and he came to somebody who is a servant of God, and he said, can God forgive me? And the person said, no, God is never going to forgive me, you. So he slaughtered the guy, making it 100, right? So he slaughtered the guy, and that when he went to a scholar, and now the scholar said, you have to do something to get repentance, go to another city for repentance. And when the guy was on the way going, the angel of death came to take his soul. So now God has to do some maintenance work to change, to change something. Whilst forgetting that Quran chapter 4 verse 17 to 18 clearly gives you the criteria of the repentance God accepts and the repentance God does not accept. Right? You wait till when the death comes before you repent, is too late. It is of no value, right? And besides, you kill 99 people, making it 100 the last time. So 100 people, for which reason? Just killing, right? After God telling you kill people intentionally, your destination is hell. Intentionally. Why will you take a soul intentionally? For what? You create a soul. So why take a soul? Okay. So HOBLOS is trying to, I don't know what he is trying to justify. all his preachings, I see him actually exhorting people to be evil, to be criminals, to do bad things, and then thinking, oh, God is so cheap. I will just say, oh, God, forgive me. I'm now your servant after killing 100 people, after doing drugs, being a rapist, being this. God, forgive me. And God is so cheap. So God will just forgive you. Ladies and gentlemen, for those who are married, if you are not married, for those who are in a relationship, if you are in a serious relationship with a woman, now imagine you doing something bad to the woman, right? You doing something bad. Or let's say you have a small secret and you hid it away from the woman, and then she just found out that you had that secret. Imagine how long it takes for you to fight. And even if she says she forgives you, she has forgiven you, can you imagine after 5 years and she reminds you again, she's like, you think I forgot what you did to me, how you hid a secret from me? She doesn't forget, right? Now, this is just human being, a woman. Now, imagine God. You doing the magnitude of a sin, taking people's life, 100 people, and saying that this kind of person, because he wants to, is that a person who wants to repent, killing already 99? You meet another person who said, no, God will never forgive you. That person say God never forgive you. Is it God? No, but you killed him to make it 100. And what is the story? What is the moral? What is the ethics behind this story? What is the lesson? What this guy, so far, all of his videos that I've watched is problematic, right? This one, he wasn't shouting too much. Like I said, it's just a donkey type of shouting. But what sense is he trying to give to the bad? But obviously, it makes sense to the mushriks, this kind of things, especially when they put the nasheed behind it. That when I say nasheed, you see that music when he was speaking, the music playing at the background, we call it nasheed type. So this nasheed, they like to use it a lot in their videos to get you cling to the video so that you feel the sad, the emotions from what he's saying. It's pure nonsense. I'm serious. Everything he was saying in the video was nonsensical. You understand? So they use the nasheed to decorate the nonsensical hibby-jibby statements they are making. So the nasheed you are listening is just making the nonsense speech sweet. It makes the nonsensical speech sound sweet. So you are listening, your mashallah, mashallah. What is the sense in this? Seriously, what is he trying to say? That I should also kill 100 people and then ask God for forgiveness, and then God, because God is merciful, so he will just forgive me. This is the same guy who says a murderer who performs salat, and he's a rapist, and he's a drug dealer, and he's a whatever. Mention all the evil deeds. So because he's praying, he's better than somebody who doesn't do all these crimes and does not pray. Limiting Islam to prayer. Ladies and gentlemen, HOBLOS, right? HOBLOS. So for those on TikTok, oh my God, I played his voice. You are acquainted with the voice, right? So that is HOBLOS for you. So the last part of the statement when he Kanu was saying, Marwan Divaj, the verse, chapter 4, verse 17, yes. Kanu says, by his logic, it doesn't matter. He says, by his logic, it doesn't matter if you rape, kill, deal with drugs, being criminal, lie, as long as you pray, you go to heaven. Yes, that's his logic. That's HOBLOS logic. And the same HOBLOS again is preaching killing 99 people and making it 100. It makes me suspect him. Has he killed somebody himself before or something? Yeah. You understand? Because he seems to be talking about that a lot, right? Okay. So that is HOBLOS, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be putting his video in about few days, a couple of days ahead. I'll put his video on my YouTube, so you get to watch. He's screaming, he's shouting, and you love that video. It's about 20 minutes video. So you get to listen. But anyways, away with HOBLOS, the screaming guy, right? The shouting guy. Away with him. So salam to all of you who are joining now. Salam to all of you. I see all those who join. Mohammed Jallo, Rock MR, Wise G, Adam Dunsi, Marwan Divaj, Kanu. Thank you all for coming. Rock is asking me, he says, are you debate with an ex-Muslims? Sorry, your English is not clear enough for me. I don't get it. You mean, what are you trying to say? You say, are you debate with an, please, can you rephrase your question so that it can make sense to me? It doesn't make sense to me right now. So let it make sense, please. Okay. Alma Jonesy said his shouting was broke. Okay. Yeah, Seydou is a Hidara. Adam Osman Kwanda. Yes, I see you all. Thank you all for coming. Salam to you all, for those on TikTok as well. Yeah, Chris, Real Islamic Reflection. I see you. Martin Professor. Prime and Privilege says he is suspect for sure. Yeah, he keep preaching about such things. I don't know why he keep doing that, you know. And he thinks because he shout on top of his voice, maybe God will forgive him, right? Because I don't get it. He has a mic and he's shouting. There's a mic in front of him. He has a mic, but he's shouting. I don't know. And the audience are just sitting in front of him, right? Rock MR says, I mean, you're trying to say I've high debated any ex-Muslims. I think I have a dialogue. If you go to my correctional officer page, I only if you check my playlist, it's called The Den. I only had a discussion or a dialogue with an agnostic and let's say, yeah, an agnostic and then an ex-Muslim, somebody who said he gave up on God. It's called Usman. So you check in that playlist, you find but to actually have a direct debate with an ex-Muslim, I'm yet to do that. I would love to do that, but I haven't done that yet, right? So I might do that in the near future. Okay, let's move on to the topic, right? Okay. So I was asked a question. I was asked some questions during last week and this week, and let me go through them so that we get to see what is at hand, right? Salam, Abdul Samad, right? Yeah. Okay. Let me see. Yeah. Okay, so I was asked questions. First of all, the question says, sectarians claim that abortion after 40 days is haram based on hadith. However, is there any guidance about this in the Quran? Allah is infinitely just. Why will the Creator force victims of rape and incest to give birth? Why will he force a woman whose life will be at risk to carry a baby to term? Right? So now the question the person is asking is, sectarians claim abortion after 40 days is haram based on hadith. That is number one. And he says, however, is there any guidance about this in the Quran? Allah is infinitely just. Why will the Creator force victims of rape and incest to give birth? Why will he force a woman whose life will be at risk to carry a baby to term? There's always exception, right? There's always exception in every situation you find in Islam. God mentioned in Quran chapter 2 verse 256 where he says, La ikra fi din qad tabayyana rushd min al-ghayy faman yakfur bit-taghut wa yu'min billahi faqad istamsaka bil-urwati al-wuthqa. He says there is no compulsion in the deen, in religion, The right way has been what? Distinguished from the way of error. So it's just clear enough for you to choose the path. So there's no compulsion on you. Number one, we see in Quran chapter 17, when you read part of the wisdom God has given us, and according to what God has advised us concerning killing our children, I'll put it on the screen. For those on Facebook, YouTube, you get to see the screen, but those on TikTok, you might not see, but you'll be listening to the answer I'm giving. So first of all, when we take Quran chapter 17, verse 31, it says, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَوْلَادُكُمْ خَشْيَةً إِمْلَاقٍ نَحْنُ نَرْزُقُهُمْ وَإِيَّاكُمْ. Then it says, إِنَّ قَتْلُهُمْ كَانَ خِطْئًا kabira. He says, and do not kill your children. Now underline the word children. When we say children, it is only when the child is born is when it's finally a child. And I'll give you verses to back this up. The moment the child is born, it is a child now, right? But when it's still in the stomach, there are different stages to when it is in the stomach. Now, coming to the simple answer the person is asking, let me break down these instances before I give the answer to that question. Now, chapter 17, verse 31, do not kill your children. So underline the word children, right? For fear of abject poverty. We provide for them as well as for you. Indeed, killing them is a big mistake. So that is, if you have your children, you have already given birth to the children, and you kill them, it's a big mistake, right? God will provide. You can't provide, there are other means, right? You can even give off your child as a help to another family or somebody who can take care of the child whilst feeding the child, even though it is your child. And then we even have people who even give their children for adoption, right? So that somebody else who doesn't have a child can adopt, who is rich enough, and take care of your child, but still you have a connection with your child. So there are a lot of options, but killing them is a big mistake, and this is the advice from God. Now, let's check the process as to how a person, a creation becomes a child, right? So when I take you to Quran chapter 22, verse 5, Surah Al-Hajj, it says, "O you mankind, if you should be in doubt of the resurrection, then indeed we created you from dust, then from sperm, then from a shaped and unshaped, which is unshaped and unshaped. That is from blood clot, right? Alak, from a blood clot. There is a missing link here, so we have to fix it. From a blood clot, that is the thrombus. Then from a shaped and unshaped, that we may clarify to you, and we settle down whatever we will in the wombs until a fixed term. Then we bring you out so that you may reach your maturity," right? Now, bringing you out here, it is the word tiflan is here. Tiflan is we bring you out as a child. So of course this translation needs to be fixed on the page, but let me put my my PDF so that you get the correct translation on the screen. Yeah. Let me open it up. This one, stop this one. Yeah, so Quran chapter 22, verse 5. Yeah, Surah Al-Hajj, right? 22, verse 5. So I share the screen here. Yes, so that's the screen. Let me see if you can see it clear enough. Yeah. $350. Yeah. So, O you mankind, if you should be in doubt of the resurrection, that indeed we created you from what? From dust. That is number one. That is the first creation. That's the Adam was created from dust. Then from sperm. So the reproduction from the stage of the dust, the reproduction stages is based on what? Sperm. Then from a thrombus, so the sperm now becomes a blood clot. That is thrombus, right? Then from a shaped and an unshaped what? Embryo. So from the thrombus, the blood clot, it becomes what? Embryo. Now from the embryo, that we may clarify to you, so that God may clarify this scenario for you. And we settle down whatever we will in the wombs, right? In the wombs until a fixed term. So this embryo will be in the womb for a fixed term, right? Then we bring you out as a child. So now when you come out, you become a tifla. This tifla in Arabic means a child. Then God says, so that you may reach your maturity, right? And among you are those who are caused to die. And among you are those who return to a rejected age. When we say rejected age, somebody who is very, very, very old to the point that people don't even want to be next to you. Then it says, in order not to know anything after knowledge, right? Because old people, very old people, they can hardly learn something new. They can only get stuck up with the old memories. So something new is can hardly go into the head. And you see the ground lifeless, but when we send down water upon it, it trembles, strokes, and germinates of every magnificent kind. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm pinpointing to this verse is to bring on the notion of when we become children. It is after when you are born, you become a child. But then whilst the sperm is there, it goes through a process. So from sperm, it goes to blood clot. So from the blood clot, it goes to an embryo. From the embryo, it keeps growing, trying to become a human being, till now it is ready to come out as a child, right? So now, when I quoted chapter 17, verse 31, the first instruction God gave you based on the wisdom is do not kill your children. At the moment that finally the baby is out, do not do that. But then the question is, why, when the baby is inside the womb, right? Whether in the process of being a fetus, blood clots, embryo, what is the process or what is going to happen in that scenario? Now, there is a lot of questions or question marks pertaining to such issues. Now, in terms of charity, right, we have charity or foundations who are actually taking care of orphaned or fatherless or motherless children, right? So what I see, the wisdom from this that I see is, even if a lady has been raped and then she's carrying a pregnancy, instead of actually terminating that soul, I will recommend why not the woman rather give birth and then give it to a child, like, orphanage or, those kind of charity organization taking care of the children, instead of actually terminating that soul. You understand? Now, we have scenarios where people can be in a situation whereby the lady is pregnant, but she doesn't want to actually give birth to that vagabond or that kind of child, right? So in this scenario, the question is it haram to actually do the abortion? You have to put a lot of things into perspective. Just like I give an example, in some situations, Quran chapter 16, verse 116. Let me put it on the screen here. Quran chapter 16, verse 116. It says, and do not say a lie by what your tongues describe. This is lawful and this is unlawful, right? To fabricate a lie about God, indeed, those who fabricate falsehood about God will not succeed. You have to be very careful in the positions you sit to say something is haram or something is halal, because you have to draw the perspective and see the point of views concerning that same incident, what is happening. Right? So there are scenarios whereby, let's say a lady was raped, or let's say a woman who is married has been raped. In terms of rape, of course, that whoever did the rape must be punished. But then the case should be now rested on the woman, because if she is raped, remember, it takes a procedure. When even if she discovers she's pregnant, it takes a process. It's not like she's pregnant, bang, then the stomach becomes big, all of that stuff. No. So within that process, when the teen sperm is still there, it goes through stages. While it is blood clot and it comes out, we don't consider that as a child. No. That's why I showed you the process from Quran chapter 22, verse 5. Whilst in the process of becoming a blood clot, fetus going to the stage, we don't consider that a child. But I will advise, the moment it gets to the stage of the embryo, I recommend that baby should be given birth to and then handed over, whether to a child support, child type of orphanage, or, you know, fatherless child home, or whatever. You understand? Then they can take care of, like a foster care, where they can take care of the child, and then the government can take charge of that. You understand? Now, the reason why this is not a type of question you can directly say this is haram or this is halal, because the criteria God gives us, number one, the moment the child has become a child, the baby has been born and is a child, that is what God tells you. Killing them is a big mistake. But it tells you that when it is in the process, a lot of things can come into play. A lot of issues can come into play. So in that position, of course, the person must make a wise decision as to whether they are keeping the unborn or taking it out. But to sit here and say, this is haram, this is halal, no, I'm not in the position. Like the hadiths will always do and tell you, oh, this is haram, this is haram. No. You understand? So based on the question that the questioner was asking, is sectarians claim that abortion after 40 days is haram based on hadith, not based on the Quran. Then he says, however, is there any guidance about this in the Quran? Allah is infinitely just. Why will the Creator force victims of rape and incest to give birth? God is not forcing anybody to give birth. It's not forcing anyone to give birth. But there is something we call recommendations. And then we have something we call options. That is why God says, La ikraha fid din. Quran chapter 2, verse 256. There is no compulsion in the deen. So I don't know why the questioner is thinking God is forcing people to give birth. No, take that perspective out of your head. Number two, are there any verses in the Quran that make it clear that marriage should only happen between consenting adults? It is common sense, but hadith allows sectarians to promote pedophilia and child rape. How do you counter this with the Quran? So then we go to Quran chapter 4, verse 6. When we go to Quran chapter 4, verse 6, that is Surah An-Nisa. Sorry, let me go backwards, right? Surah An-Nisa, verse 6. Oh, sorry. Yeah. In Quran chapter 4, verse 6, it says, and test the orphans until when they reach marriage. It tells you marriage is a time a person reaches, right? It is a time where a person has to reach. So it's like a process or stages where a person can reach marriage. So if a person can reach marriage, it tells you it is not just even when she's a kid, you just go and marry. You understand? There's a wisdom in the choice of words being used in the Quran for a reason. So, and test the orphans until when they reach marriage. Then if you perceive maturity from them, then deliver their properties to them. So in order to perceive maturity, it must have been the time where the child has already passed the stage of being a child, or a puberty age or adolescent, is actually in an adult position to actually make decisions. And this is why a lot of countries have actually stipulated the age a person becomes adult. In some countries, it is 18 years that a person can do a lot of things. In some countries, they consider from maybe 17 and a half above. So depending on the country where a person is classified as an adult, that is where you are matured enough to make decisions for yourself. So based on where you are and what is considered as an adult, that is when you are ready for marriage, because marriage is a responsibility and which is not for kids. Do you understand? There is no single instance in the Quran where God actually advised the prophets to marry girls or kids. It's actually women, Nisa. Nisa. The prophet himself was married to women, not girls, not kids. So based on the question, the questioner was asking, he says, are there any verses in the Quran that make it clear that marriage should only happen between consenting adults? Right? There are, but then it depends on the criteria in which you put a person as an adult. You understand? For instance, if we mention the word woman, you cannot classify a kid, a child, a girl child as a woman. No, she doesn't fall in that category. You understand? So the person says it is common sense, but hadith allows sectarians to promote pedophilia and child rape. They do promote that a lot. I have a video which talks about Quran chapter 65 verse 4, where people misquote the Quran and take the Quran out of context and think that when Muhammad Hijab made a video and saying that if you follow the Quran alone, the Quran actually promotes pedophilia. To you understand? And that is the most dumbest claim ever. I have a video refuting that argument. Go to my playlist on YouTube and find a playlist called General the Mushriks, something Mushriks. I gave it a name. Let me see if I can find it. I gave it a name. Mushrik's Agenda. Yes, find the playlist Mushrik's Agenda. You see the video which I refuted Muhammad Hijab's claim on that. When you start in context, chapter 65, start from verse 1, it is talking about women. Coming down up to verse 4, verse 5, verse 6, it is about women. It's not talking about kids or girls, right? So it is about women, into context about women, right? But the mushriks will always want to do things against the Quran and trying to act like they are smart enough. Yeah, salam, brother Hamza Malik. I see you. You're welcome. I see you, brother Hamza Malik. Salam to you. Yeah. Salam to all those who are joining now. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate your presence. Thank you. Yeah, Sister Alma Johnson, you're welcome. Thank you. Yeah, salam, Sister Nati Segere. I see you. You're all welcome. Thank you all for those who are joining. Okay. So the next question asked, okay, but yeah, before I go to the next question, marrying a young woman is allowed. Marrying a young woman is allowed, but not a child, not a puberty age, because the Quran mentioned puberty age. Quran chapter 24, verse 58 to verse 60. The word puberty is mentioned. That is a hulum. Is mentioned. Puberty. God never asked you to marry girls at puberty. No. Right? A young woman is allowed. A young woman can be in the 18, 19, 20s. Yes, she's a young woman, but she is in the level of going to an adult stage where she can perceive things and she can make certain decisions for herself. Right? So when you go to Quran chapter 4, verse 25, where it says, and whoever among you cannot afford to marry chaste believing women, then from those your right hands possess, that is by legally, by oath, that you possess legally by oath. Right hand possess doesn't mean slaves. No. Right hand possess is something you rightly possess legally. Legally. Right? Among your young believing women. Right? Your young believing women. So young believing women, marrying a young believing woman is allowed, but not a young, girl child. No, not that. Okay. So let's take the next one. It says sectarians claim that Muslim men can marry Jewish and Christian women. Which verse is this derived from? Sectarians claim that Muslim men can marry Jewish and Christian women. The Quran explicitly does not say Muslim men can marry Jewish and Christian women. Quran never says that. However, it is misquotation and interpolation. People are twisting what God says. So let's find out what God actually says in that verse. It's in Quran chapter 5, verse 5. Right? In Quran chapter 5, verse 5, let's check and see. So I share the screen and let's understand from the perspective the Quran is talking, because many a times people try to misquote the Quran, forgetting that what the Quran actually represents, right? So God says in Quran chapter 5, verse 5, today lawful for you are good things, as well as what? The food of those who were given the book. And we know according to Quran chapter 17, verse 2, God says, وَآتَيْنَا مُوسَى الْكِتَابَ وَجَعَلْنَا هُدًى لِبَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ أَلَّا تَتَّخِذُوا مِن دُونِي وَكِيلًا. The children of Israel were given the book. So the children of Israel are the people of the book. You understand? Good. These children of Israel is what God is referencing, that the people, those who were given the book, is lawful for you. So the children of Israel, marrying the children of Israel between the children of Israel and the Arabs, it is permitted by God. It can happen. Right? The children of Israel were given Al-Kitab. And I have a lecture based on the children of Israel. Most of the children of Israel are found in Africa now. Most of them are blacks. Yes, most of the children of Israel are blacks. So that marriage is allowed. But what do you find today? The modern day Arabs, most of them, they don't allow the blacks to marry Arabian women. Yes, what I'm saying is a fact, is there. Because they make the indoctrination of other things which goes against the laws of God take over their perspectives. So they put the laws of God aside and actually use their own culture and tribalism and whatever to dominate the religion. So when God says today, lawful for you are good things as well as the food of those who were given the book, then he says what? It's lawful for you. Then he says, as well as the chaste among the believing women and the chaste women among those who were given the book. So the chaste women among the children of Israel, right? It's also allowed, because when God is talking into this context, is talking about Muhammad and the believers at the time when he was alive. So God was showing that there's a union, that yes, you, the Arabs, you can marry the people of the book who were given the book, the children of Israel. You can marry from them. It is not specifically talking about Christians or Jews. Those are sectors, or they are sects, or let's say they are formulated creeds on themselves. God never gave a religion called Christianity. God never gave a religion called Judaism. They are formulated by the people themselves. That is why the Quran always talk about those who call themselves Christians, those who say we are Nasara. You understand? And then Yahudiya, the Jews. So I'm going to show you something interesting from the Quran. I take you to Quran chapter 5, verse 44. Let's check something interesting, so that you get to understand when we say the people of the book, in actuality, we are talking about the children of Israel. But however, among children of Israel, we have some who are Jews and we have some who are Christians. So understand this concept. Quran chapter 5, verse 44. Indeed, we sent down the Torah. When we say the Torah is a book, is this thing containing laws and judgments of God. Torah, that is what Torah is used for. So when we say at-Torah, it is contained, is a thing containing laws of God and judgments of God. So God says, we send down the Torah, wherein is guidance and light. The prophets who submitted, so the prophets submitted themselves to God, they are Muslims. judge by it. By what? The Torah. For those who were Jewish, you can see the prophets were not Jews, but the prophet used the Torah to judge those who were Jewish. And so did the rabbis, the spiritual leaders, and the scholars, right? By what they were entrusted of the book of God. Do you see here? By what they were entrusted of the book of God. So out of the book of God, we have the Torah inside. Just like Isa alayhi salam, Quran chapter 3 verse 48, God taught him the book, the Torah, the Injil, and the wisdom all together. You understand? Found in the book. Okay. So this Quran chapter 5 verse 44 gives you the hint. The book was not actually given to the Jews. The book was actually given to who? Sorry. What happened to the camera? Yeah, the book was actually given to the children of Israel. And we see the evidences in the Quran, chapter 17, verse what? 2. Okay. Now, so based on the question the questioner was asking, says sectarians claim that Muslim men can marry Jewish and Christian women. You can only marry people of other sects if they are actually not committing idol worship. If they are not mushriks, you can marry them. So based on Quran chapter 2, verse 221. In Quran chapter 2, verse 221, let's check what the verse says. It says, and do not marry the polytheistic women, that is the idolaters. A female idolater, don't marry her. Unless what? They believe. Unless she becomes a believer. And when we say they believe, go to Quran chapter 2, verse 62. It breaks down the notion of belief. I'll be going to that verse to explain further. Unless they believe. For a believing bondmaid is better than a polytheistic woman. Because if you go and marry a polytheistic woman, an idolatress, you are going to bring chaos in your house. If you tell her God says this, she will tell you, no, ahi, my sheikh says this, my other deity says this, my this says that. So there's a fight. That's why God is advising you. So at the end of this verse, we are going to understand why God says, do not marry such people. Then he says, and even if she pleases you, right? And do not marry the polytheistic men unless what? They believe. So this law, this legislation in this verse goes to both men and women. It is not only going to the men or to the women. It goes to both. Okay. Unless they believe. For a believing slave is better than a polytheistic man, even if he pleases you. Thus, those invites to what? To the what? To fire, while God invites to the garden and forgiveness by his permission. And he clarifies his verses to the people. Perhaps they will take heed. Do you see? Now, the reason why I said you can marry a Jewish woman or a Christian woman if she is not an idolatress. If she doesn't do idol worship, you can marry her. Right? You get my point. If she is not committing any shirk, you can marry her. So now, this is the reason why I say you can marry. So you go to Quran chapter 2, verse 62, and it's going to break down that notion for us to understand further. Right? Okay, sorry. There's a similar verse in Quran chapter 5, verse 69. So in Quran chapter 5, verse 69, indeed, those who believe as well as those who are what? Jewish, the Sabians, and the Christians, whoever believes in God, that is number one. And the last day, that is number 2. And acts righteous, that is number 3. There will be no fear upon them, nor will they grieve. Now the question is, let's examine these 3 options. Whoever believes in God, which God? Allah. How do you know Allah? Go to Quran chapter 112. Start reading from verse 1 to verse 4. Kul huwa Allahu ahad. So he, the God, is one. Allahu samad, the everlasting God. Lam yalid wa lam yughlad. He does not beget, nor was he begotten. Walam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. And he has none equal to him, and none can be compared to him. Do you understand? So he, God, is one. The everlasting God. He has always been the God from day one. He does not beget, nor was he begotten. So God does not give birth To beget is an animal act, procreation. Just like the Christians who say begotten son. They use the word begotten, but then they will try to play smart and say unique. It doesn't mean unique. It means still son. You are claiming begotten. Don't be ashamed of the words you are using. You claim God's begotten son, which is an animal act. God does not beget. So if your God begets, it is no more the real God. So if you actually you are a Christian and you believe God actually begot Jesus, then you are a mushrik. So you are not qualified for marriage. Yes, to be honest. Then this God, he was not begotten. Just like the Christians claim Jesus is God, but he was begotten by Mary. So imagine you claiming your God being given birth by a human being and being circumcised at the same time. Luke chapter 2 verse 21, they claim Jesus was circumcised. So he wasn't even created perfect. You understand? And yet Adam was created perfect because Adam doesn't need circumcision. You understand? There's no circumcision for Adam. You ask the Christians, was Adam circumcised? They will tell you, oh, it was created perfect because the Bible says he created man perfect. You understand? So you, according to your Bible, Jesus was not able to, wasn't created in the image of God anymore because the image of God doesn't need circumcision because Adam doesn't have any circumcision. But then you have to circumcise your Jesus. So you claim he's God. So that cannot be qualified as a God, right? He's disqualified. He doesn't know the day of judgment. And he has been circumcised. He eats food. He died also. They claim he died. So he's not qualified, you understand, to be a God. Then walam yakul lahu kufuwan, none can be compared to him. And then people can be compared to Jesus. You understand? He was a human being, as according to them. Because if you are being circumcised today, Jesus was circumcised also. So in every category, you can compare yourself to Jesus. You understand? He eats food, he sleeps, he drinks, and so on. So I'm talking about the Jesus according to the Bible. I'm not talking about Jesus, the prophet of God. No. So this type of Christian, if you marry, you are going to be fighting at home. And I know a lot of people who marry such Christians and they are fighting till date. Your kids are going to be messed up because your kids are going to be confused. Be careful. Your kid will wake up standing in front of a white statue called Jesus, and your kid will be doing this in front of the statue. So that is the idol worship. So this kind of Christian, this is what you have to investigate. So a Christian who actually believes in the real concept of God, that God doesn't have a son, God was not begotten. You understand? So that is the point. So that type of Christian you can marry, who doesn't believe in God having a son, who doesn't believe in Jesus being God. Look, I know Christians who don't even believe in Trinity. I'm serious, to be honest. I know Christians who don't believe in Trinity. Yes, they are Christians. They read the Bible, they follow the Bible, but they don't believe in Trinity, because Trinity is an indoctrinated concept, not coming from Jesus and not coming from God. So the verse chapter 5 verse 69 or chapter 2 verse 62 for a Christian or a Jew or a Sabian who will actually be a believer is to believe in the concept of oneness of God, the one God. You understand? One, not two, not three, not four. One God. Okay. So based on the question I was asked, that is the type of Jew or Christian you can marry, right? The fourth question, sectarians claim Muslim women can only marry Muslim men, right? Which verse allows men this option and prevents women of having the same options? Well, Quran chapter 2 verse 221 prevents that. You understand? You cannot marry a polytheistic, person or an idolater. So the person has to believe, meaning they have to believe in one God, right? That God doesn't have a son. God doesn't have, was not begotten, does not beget, he doesn't have any equal. Yes, they have to believe in this kind of concept. That's why we call the chapter ikhlas. Ikhlas means sincerity, the devotion of sincerity, sincere devotion. So when you have ikhlas, there's no doubt in your faith anymore. Then you have the sincerity to God. It's only one God. Now, number 5, if the definition of a Muslim is one who submits and embraces the guidance of God, Correct me if my translation is wrong. Then who are Quran following Muslim women meant to marry? A Quran following Muslim woman is meant to marry a believer in God, the real concept of God. Somebody who follows the Quran can marry such a person, because if you take Quran chapter 2 verse 2 and read up to verse 5, it says you should believe in what was revealed to you and believe in what was revealed before you. But when we say before you, we are not talking about the Bible. God never revealed a book called Bible, nor to more or less to say Holy Bible. You are a fool to think God actually gave any prophet, as a matter of fact, a book called Holy Bible. It doesn't exist. And it's actually foolishness for you to call such a book holy, when human beings have actually inserted their opinions and you can find contradictions. You don't dare call such a book holy. You are the dumbest fool ever, because no prophet ever calls such a book Holy Bible in the Bible. No prophet actually called that book Holy Bible. It doesn't exist. No. So submitting to God, you are submitted to God. What you need to find is somebody who has also submitted to God. It doesn't necessarily mean you say Quran alone follower, or no. Quran alone follower is a concept where you follow the guidance of God from the Quran. But we have people who are closer to God, but they are yet to upgrade by following the Quran. You understand? So they don't commit idol worship. Yes, you can marry such a person. For somebody who follows the Quran can marry such a person who doesn't commit idol worship. Just put that in check. Somebody who doesn't commit idol worship. So based on the question, the person says, since 99% do shirk by attributing divinity to the Sitta, Sahih, Hadith, and Shia books. Yeah, such a person, don't go next to a person who actually don't go to such person who actually follow Hadith book. Somebody following Hadith books, they are complicated. I'm serious. They are complicated to be with. Yeah, you find a lot of headers, a lot of problems, because they are blocked right in the head. So yeah. Now, so the next question is, how can Islam be liberated from Arab supremacy? How can Islam be liberated from Arab supremacy? Now, this is an interesting question. If you stop making the Arabs as the all authoritative people of Islam, that is the only way to stop the Arab supremacies. Because if you are thinking Islam can only be gained through Arabs, then you are wrong. Because Islam didn't start with Prophet Muhammad. Remember, Muhammad himself, alayhi salam, was asked to follow the footsteps of Ibrahim. That is the creed of Abraham. Quran chapter 16, verse 123. And he confirmed it in Quran chapter 6, verse 161. Right? That God has guided him to the creed of Abraham, right? And in Quran chapter 3, verse 95, he actually confessed by saying God has spoken the truth, that we should follow the creed of Abraham. And according to Quran chapter 3, verse 67, Ibrahim was a Hanifan Muslim. He was an orthodox Muslim, which means up to standard. He was a correct Muslim, right? So we are following the millah of Ibrahim, not the millah of Muhammad. Muhammad himself, alayhi salam, was following the millah to Ibrahim, right? So we are following the creed of Abraham. Abraham was not an idol worship. He never worshipped 3-in-1 or Trinity gods. No, you understand? So Abraham worshipped one God. That is the creator of the heavens and the earth. So in order to avoid this supremacy ideology, just because a book is written in, for instance, I give an example. Just because a book is written in English doesn't mean English people are supreme or should hold their supremacy over everybody. No. Look, as a matter of fact, we have American English, we have British English, we have Australian English, there's Irish English. You take it, different, even Nigerian English, there's Ghana English, there is Jamaican English, they have Patois and so on. There's a South African English. So it's diverse, and people have their own way of structuring their own grammar and comprehension. So If it goes the same with Arabic language, it doesn't necessarily have to be the Arabic language of Saudi Arabia or Egypt or Libya or so on, because they also have different dialects. You understand? So none of the countries on earth, Arabian countries, can claim the Arabic language written in the Quran is for them. No. A lot of even Arabian speaking people don't even understand the Quran, regardless of they being Arabians. You understand? So to eradicate the nonsensical aspect of saying Arab supremacy, stop giving them that audacity or the position and saying they are in charge of Islam. Take that concept out of your head, right? You can study Islam without actually going to an Arab. Yes, I repeat, you can study Islam without actually going to an Arab. You understand? Just like today, we have a lot of Christians who are Christians, but they don't understand Greek, because the New Testament they have was originally written in Greek language. But a lot of Christians don't understand Greek language because they've been reading English. They have no idea, right? It is helpful to study Arabic. Studying Arabic is different from actually, thinking you are studying the Quran. Studying Arabic is different from studying the Quran. They are two different links. However, if you have studied Arabic, it helps you to come closer to understanding the Quran, right? Because of the structure of the language. Yes, it can help you. Yes. So it says, please, can you open a Telegram group where questions can be submitted and polls could be posted to people can vote on which questions you will answer in the live sessions? Yes, I agree with that. However, I have a WhatsApp group, and I have a WhatsApp group for both people from Africa and people in the diaspora all overseas, right? I do have 2 groups on WhatsApp. However, I'm taking up this advice because I already have a group created on Telegram, but I have not published it to the people yet, because it gets to a point I get so busy with a lot of entanglements based on my schedules. So it's actually a challenge for me to actually answer questions in the group. So when people ask me questions, sometimes, yes, I do bring them to my live sessions to answer the questions. So however, I will take up this suggestion where the person is saying, can you open a Telegram group where questions can be submitted, right? And polls can be posted to people so people can vote on which questions you will answer in the live session. I do have a lot of answers that I've answered in my live videos on YouTube. A lot of questions have been asked, and I have videos on it, right? Sometimes it's a headache for me to find the video and share. So I do find time to generate time codes on my videos. So when you watch on my videos, you see the time codes beneath, especially my live sessions. But I'll take up this advice where I'll open up a Telegram group. Then I'll share the link where people can join, because I don't want to make it open. When it's too much, when it's overcrowded, I'll be stressed out. You understand? And sometimes a lot of people do ask me questions, and it takes me time to answer them, right? Yes, so I'll think about that, and I'll open it up where I can share it to the people, which is important, which are important for me to actually adhere to, based on the way they ask their questions. I'm not saying everybody or anybody, not people are not important. Yes, people are important, but sometimes the way a person asks a question shows their determination to learn or their zeal to learn. Then I can actually take up the mantle to answer. It says, will you consider having that group as a place for people to pre-submit their questions? Just an idea for a segment outside of the live question and answer. Yes. In my groups, even in WhatsApp group, I do allow questions to come in, not regularly, but yes, I do pay attention to questions. When I have time, then I answer. I can't always be all ears and watching every comment or every question. No, I can't do that always. But yes, when I do have the time, I answer. And sometimes I share the link to the videos to search questions. Yes, because a lot of times people ask me multiple questions and it's repeated. Number 9, how did the mainstream Muslims come up with the idea that zakat is 2.5%? Now, this is from the hadith. That's our own concept. Seems like an arbitrary number to pull out if the sky from the sky and write into their hadith books. Well, they concocted that. It is not Quranic at all. Because if God actually wanted you to pay a percentage, he will have used the example used in Quran chapter 8, verse 41 to verse 44. God used the 1/5 to be given to messenger and the poor and the other people. He will have used the same percentage to tell you that, oh, the charity has to be this percentage. So that is un-Quranic. Question 10. Do you know the origins of the movements that comprise the 5 daily salat that most of us perform? Where did the hadith writers get them from? They get it from the hadith. They take it from chunk of hadith to join them together, right? As a matter of fact, there is no single hadith collection, right? A single hadith like this, which tells you the salat from Iqama to salam, that the Prophet is teaching people and say, do it like this, do this like this, do this like that, do this like that. No, it doesn't exist. They don't have it. So they take chunks from different hadith books and join them together and give it to you and say, this is how the salah should be done. As a matter of fact, according to the Sahih al-Bukhari hadith 350, it says the Prophet, when he went to bring the salat, it was 2 rakat for the 5 salat. 2 rakat, which is 10 rakat. So ask the mushriks, how did he become 17? Is there anything wrong with praying 5 times a day in the traditional way? Yes, there's a lot of things wrong. First of all, Quran chapter 42 verse 21, God says, Am lahum shuraka ushara'u lahum min ad-din ma lam yazanu billah. Do they have idols who have legislated for them of a religion to which God has not authorized? So number one, the legislations, what you are going to do, if they have been enacted by somebody in the deen, who is that? Who put down such rules for you to follow? The 5 daily prayers, is it from God? So if it is not, who gave you? Who gave it to you? So that makes you an idol worship. You understand? Because you're following an idol who is telling you to do all this. So according to Quran chapter 6 verse 121, even when it comes to mentioning the name of God on food and you let somebody argue with you to tell you otherwise and you obey such a person, you also become a mushrik, because such people are devils. Right? So the person says, since it is still dhikr, I find it helpful, but I don't pretend that 5 daily salah are mandated by Allah. Surely there is no limit to the amount of zikr you can do. Zikr is a different concept. You can do zikr, yes. But if you classify the 5 daily salah they have given you, they are saying God enacted it, that is a shirk there. Why did the concept of making up salah emerge? Yes, it's a mental slavery process. If I control your thoughts, I control what you eat, I control what you wear, I'm controlling you. So I tell you what to do. And that is why a lot of Africans want to look like Arabs so bad. You understand? They dress like Arabs, they want to talk like Arabs, they want to do their things like Arabs. Don't fool yourselves. You can never be like Arabs, right? So don't be proud of your heritage. Stick to your heritage. Islam has nothing to do with traditions. Islam has its own way of life, not the traditions of somebody. Remember, imagine somebody copying the style of Abraham. I don't see anybody actually following the traditions of Abraham. But even though we have been told to follow the creed of Abraham, which is to abandon the idols, destroy idols, I don't see anybody doing that. Yeah. So it says, why do traditional Muslims make it seem like salah is a debt you owe to Allah when it only benefits you? Yes, that's what tradition sectarians do. The King of Troops says, hate it when North Africans say they are Arab. We are not. Yes, I agree with you. But there's a problem with that, because especially when Morocco went to the World Cup last year, right? Last year, December. Morocco went to the World Cup and they were dominating. Can you imagine? The Arabs were actually proud of Morocco and saying, yo, for the Arab, this is a problem. Like, look, the northern part of Africa, the Arabs in the northern part of Africa, the Arabs in Middle East don't actually consider these people as real Arabs, to be honest. They call them the Bedouins, the Baduna. They call them the Badoon. right? So I don't see why the Arabs in the northern part of Africa will actually want to claim to be Arabs. Let me tell you one bitter truth. My kids, I have two kids. My kids are mixed race. They are mixed race. They were born in Europe. Huh? But Europeans still call my kids Africans. The irony, right? Yeah. My daughter asked me, why do they call us Africans? She said, but I was born in Europe. I said, it doesn't matter. So the fact is, the Arabs based in the northern part of Africa, you will always be classified as Badun, whether you like it or not. So stop claiming to be Arabs, because you are not real Arabs. Yes, you have the African DNA with you, you understand, and somewhat the DNA of Arab, the Eastern Arabs in you, yes. But the Arabs there, the typical Arabs, will never claim you are Arabs. No, they will always say you are Badun. Yes. So you need to understand and be at your position. In my country, there is a statement we use. We say di ulenimu, meaning stick to your line, your lane. Don't go and jump into somebody's lane. Stick to your lane and be proud of your heritage. Where you are is enough. I've met a lot of people from Tunisia, Algeria, Libya, some few people from Libya, some few from Egypt. Actually, they hate the western part of their, like the western civilization type of how will I say, development in their countries. And they also hate the concept of how hypocritical their leaders can be towards the West. Yes. So you don't seem to understand what is actually going on, especially when it comes to the heritage of people in Africa. Because to cut matters short, when Morocco was actually dominating in the World Cup, I was only expecting to hear Africa. You understand? Africa. Morocco is making Africa proud. All of a sudden, I saw, wow, Morocco is making the Arabs proud. What? How? But that's part of the deal. Anyways, so why do traditional Muslims make it seem like Salah is a debt owed to Allah when it is only benefit? Salat is for your own good, right? Inna hasanat is a hibana sayyi'at. The good deeds wipe out the bad deeds. Quran chapter 11 verse 114. So your good deeds wipe out the bad deeds. So your salat, your zakat, they are there to purify you, to wipe out your bad deeds, right? The salat and your zakat, these are things you do constantly to wipe out your misdeeds with that, to purify you, to zikr of God, and then also give charity to purify your sins, right? So it's not a debt you owe to God. It's for your own sake. If you don't want to do it, that's up to you. Why are traditional Muslims obsessed with the seerah of Muhammad and not with the Millat Ibrahim? Because many a times we've been taught these stories outside the Quran and not the Quran itself. For instance, I've been to a madrasa back in Ghana. They will teach you how to recite the Quran or read the tajweed of the Quran, but they will never teach you what the Quran actually says. They only teach you from the hadith narrations, Siratul Nabi, fiqh, and so on. You understand? These are the things they will teach you. Tawheed, fiqh, and then all of the things are involved. They will be teaching you all that, Siratul Nabawi, and so on. But they will never teach you the actual meanings of what the Quran says, because if you devote yourself to the Quran, you will forget all those bullshit. Okay. So now, done with the questions from the sister. So I've done 1 hour 20 minutes. So let me tackle another issue here. There's somebody sent me this issue, right, concerning this particular video. I don't know if I can put it on the screen, but let's see if I can manage to put it on the screen. It is a video I found by British conservative, right? Somebody shared it to me, and let me see if I can play the video. Yeah, it's British conservative. Unfortunately, for those on TikTok, you cannot see the video, but let's see. This is the video.
The Quran is universally believed by Muslims to be the perfect, flawless word of Allah. To prove it isn't, all one has to do is find one contradiction.
Now, this is a problem here. This person is claiming, this is from the British conservative, right? Making this claim. Somebody sent this to me, right? And it's claiming that the Quran is claiming to be a perfect word from God or whatever. Then he says, all you need to do is to disprove the Quran. Is going to state that
Flawless word of Allah. To prove it isn't, all one has to do is find one contradiction.
It says to prove it is not the word of God, you have to prove that find one contradiction. Now, this is what people don't understand. You don't find contradiction when you are not knowledgeable on a subject. We don't call that contradiction. It is your ignorance. So, for instance, if you don't, a student who doesn't, somebody who has not studied mathematics can find things in mathematics which doesn't make sense, which looks like contradictions, because you are ignorant to mathematics. You need to understand mathematics before you can find contradiction. Without actually having knowledge in mathematics, you are not in the position to find contradiction. It is only doesn't make sense to you. That is the point. So people are foolishly thinking they can just take the Quran, find one verse and say, hey, compare this to this, it's a contradiction. And yet when I sit you down to ask you simple questions, you become like a fool looking at me. Do you understand? So when he is saying you just simply have to find one contradiction to prove it's not from God. If I sit you down and ask you how much in-depth knowledge do you have on the Quran, you start looking at me like an angel of death. Right? And mainly what baffles me is these people are using English translations to claim they are finding contradictions in the Quran. That is what the irony. That is what baffles me. Imagine somebody who doesn't understand English and yet he has to translate something from English to another language. Oh, come on, it doesn't matter. I don't need to understand Arabic. Come on, I can just rely on the translation to find a contradiction. No, you are finding contradictions in the translation, not from the Quran. So, I help you out. Quran chapter 4, verse 82. Let me rather use this. Yeah. Okay. I open another tab, right? Let me see. Can I open another tab? Yeah, let me use another tab here. Quran chapter 4, verse 82. This is what God says. Yeah, thank you, Yusuf Kaba. I'll check that. Thank you for your message. I'll check it later. Quran chapter 4, verse 82. God says, "Afala yatadabbaruna al-Quran walau kana min indi ghayri Allah lawajiduhu fihi ikhtilafan kathira." Do they not contemplate the Quran? So, number one, you need to contemplate the Quran. It is not a book you just take out of ignorance and you think you know. You understand? Contemplate the Quran. It takes knowledge to contemplate something. You cannot be ignorant in contemplating something. It doesn't make sense to you. Do you understand? Imagine telling an ignorant person to contemplate a mathematics formula. a formula in mathematics, and you're telling an ignorant person to contemplate. No, you only tell a learned student to contemplate. Do you see the difference? So then God says, do they not contemplate the Quran? And had it been from other than God, they would have found numerous contradictions therein. So God is not throwing a challenge to other books or books. What the foolishness of some of the sectarian, some of the ignorant people I see out there is they will say, oh, the God says God is making that if this book, if the book is not coming, it didn't say the book, it says the Quran. The Quran is a unique book coming from God. Quran chapter 10, verse 37. وما كان هذا القرآن أن يفترى من دون الله ولكن تصديق الذي بين يديه وتفصيل الكتاب لا ريب فيه من رب العالمين. This Quran is not that which could be invented by other than God. Right? So the Quran is invented by God. It can never be invented by other than God. But let's see if this agnostic, if this atheist, if these unbelievers, their logic, or these bozos among Christians think they can find contradiction. Let's weigh their logic. So for anybody who claims there's contradiction, tell them babashuaib is available. Let's sit down one-on-one. I am going to weigh their brain. I'm going to weigh your brain over the Quran before we go into the Quran to see if you are capable of finding a contradiction in something or not. Yeah, we have to put you to the test, your IQ to the test. Do you understand? So anybody who is up for the challenge, you send me an inbox, right? We are going to deal. Baba's correctional officer is going to scale up your brain first. I'll scale you. Then we are going to put it into the Quran and see if your brain matches with the Quran to find contradiction. Because in order for you to pass judgment on something, you have to be exceptional at understanding that topic before you pass on a judgment. And that's why when you watch X Factor, when you watch American Idol, when you watch football awards, they have to use experts to make a decision. The ignorant person will be sitting back. Oh no, this person doesn't deserve to win. How come he won? No, this is a cheat. Yeah, because it's your level of IQ that makes you think the person has been cheated. You understand? So, do they not contemplate the Quran? Had it been from other than God, they would have found numerous contradictions therein. Okay. Now, how do you find contradiction in something? So let's examine that. When you take Quran chapter 10, verse 39, right? In Quran chapter 10, verse 39, it says, in fact, بل كذبوا بما لم يؤتوه بعلمه ولما يأتيهم تاويل كذلك كذب الذين من قبلهم فانظروا كيف كان عاقبة الظالمين. In fact, they have denied what they have not encompassed its knowledge. Number one, you have to encompass the knowledge of something. If you claim you want to find contradiction, come, Baba, correctional officer is going to assess you. I'm going to scrutinize your brain. First of all, I want to make sure you have encompassed the knowledge of the Quran. You read an article, you have to tell us the context and everything. You tell us. Yes. Our correctional officer is here for a reason. I'll scrutinize you and weigh your brain. Don't bring that brain you are using for Holy Spirit and then the Son of God and everything in front of me. I'll mess you up. Wallahi. If you are coming here, be prepared. If you bring that Son of God, that brain of Holy Spirit and whatever, I'll mess you up, eh? Wallahi. So you come. You want to find a contradiction? Come. Let's sit down. I'm going to weigh you up and make sure you have encompassed the knowledge of the Quran. You make a claim, you are going to explain the claim. Yes. And somebody's, no, but it doesn't matter. I don't need to understand Arabic. Then why will you talk about something you don't understand? Hello? You don't understand Arabic, but you want to find contradiction in the translation? Yeah, use the translation and find contradiction. Yes, that is the translation. You claim there's a contradiction in the Quran, you must understand the Arabic language of the Quran. I'm serious. And babashuaib is there for the challenge. So any Christian, any agnostic, any atheist, if you are watching me, babashuaib, my phone number is available on my pages. My email address is available. Kindly email me, inbox me. I'll bring you on live. Khaled, Let's go one-on-one and see if babashuaib is actually up to the task of being a correctional officer or not. So I put the challenge to every person watching, especially if you are a pagan Christian. Kindly accept the invite. So they have denied what they have not encompassed its knowledge. So first of all, you have to encompass the knowledge of something, and whose interpretation has not yet come to them. Because if you have encompassed the knowledge of it, you have to have the interpretation of it. Let me give you an example. For instance, I speak Finnish language, not perfectly, but above average. Right? I speak enough Finnish language to be able to talk to a Finn, to have a discussion, a dialogue, a discussion. Not to the highest level, but yes, enough. And I can translate certain aspect of Finnish language to English. Not perfectly, yes, but understandable. I'll put you, the agnostic, you, the pagan Christian, you, the atheist. I'll give you a text in Finnish language, right? And I'll ask you to translate it for me and tell me the contradictions. And I'll give you the chance to use a dictionary. And I'll just give you 15 minutes and let it make sense to me. If you pass that test, then we can speak on the Quran. I'm serious. Finnish language, I think, is the second most difficult language in the world, right? Because the lesson I want to put into your coconut heads, especially you, the pagan Christians, using translated books of your Bibles, because you don't even understand Greek. If you claim New Testament was written in Greek, you don't even understand Greek language. So you have been using translated photocopy of your books, but you claim you want to find contradictions in the Quran. Okay, no problem. I'll give you a few texts from Finnish language, and then I'll let you translate. And I'll give you the chance to use dictionary and let it make sense. You will never make sense. If you are listening to me anywhere around the world, please take this challenge up. We will arrange. I'll put you to the test. Then you see how foolish you sound. You understand? You don't find contradiction in things you don't have knowledge. It is nonsensical. You are the dumbest fool ever to say you have found contradiction in something you don't understand, you don't have knowledge in. It is not merely just take and say you are reading the translation and then that's it. You say, oh, it's a contradiction. No, it is your level of IQ which is low. So it is making you seem that this is a contradiction. Do you get my point? Let me tell you how level of IQs work before I explain this point. I went with my daughter to the toilet, right? So I had to wash my hands. I told her, let's go and wash our hands before we go to eat. So let's go and wash our hands. So we went and she washed her hands with the soap and she saw me also washing my hands with the soap, right? So when we came back to eat, as soon as I went to the kitchen, I touched a spoon I was not supposed to touch because the spoon was dirty. So when I touched it, I realized that I have to use my hands again in the food. So what do I have to do? I have to wash my hands. But my daughter, not knowing that, she just looked at me and she thought I was acting funny. She thought I was being stupid. Right? She thought, because I had to go and wash my hands again. So she was looking at me like this. And then she said, Papa, but you just wash your hands right now. I said, yeah. She said, but why are you washing again? She's thinking I'm stupid, right? So I went to wash my hands again. She was watching and laughing at me. I'm serious. She was laughing so hard. So when I came back, I said, Nadira, you find that stupid, right? She said, yeah. And I said, why do you find it stupid? She said, because you wash your hands and you're going to wash it again. And I said, because I touched a spoon there. The spoon was very dirty. And what I used the spoon for is not, advisable for me to touch with my hand and use it in my food. So I have to go and wash it again. Then she was trying to process that in the brain. She's like, but you just wash your hands. And I'm like, yeah, I wash it, but it's dirty. So I have to wash it again. And she's finding it difficult to process that. So at that point, in her mindset, what I did, it's just like the mindset of an agnostic, an atheist, a pagan Christian, who is thinking, oh, I find contradiction here because of their level of IQ. So they will be laughing at you thinking, this is a contradiction. That is a contradiction. You understand? Now, it takes somebody with a high level of IQ to let you know you're stupid, you're dumb. Doesn't mean a contradiction. You are saying it because that's your level of IQ. Do you see how finding contradictions work? Typical contradiction is when God says, I created the world in 6 days. And then he will go and say, I created it in 7 days. That is a contradiction. Because he clearly said it 6 days, and he clearly said 7 days here. That is what it called contradiction. And that is what the Bible usually do. And I can give you several examples. When I finish this lecture, I'll give you the chance. If any pagan Christian watching me, hop on. I'll show you a clear contradiction in your Bibles. But you can never show me a clear contradiction in the Quran. And then I'll prove to you how you are not making sense at all. You understand? So, in fact, they have denied what they have not encompassed its knowledge and whose interpretation has not yet come to them. Likewise did those before them deny. So observe how was the end of the transgressors. Just always observe the end of transgressors. Now, yeah, thank you, Melissa, for the gifts. Thank you for those giving gifts on TikTok. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mohammed Gaddafi. Yeah, Kanu says you got to debate Christian praise. Don't worry, I'll do that. The time will come, inshallah. But you writing, I see you. Salam. Thank you all for those who are coming. Bilal Jibril, I see you. Thank you. Now, okay. So based on Quran chapter 10, verse 39, you have to encompass the knowledge of the Quran, and then you have to know the interpretation. Then now you can be in the position to say this is a contradiction and this is not. Do you get my point? Not when you are just reading translations and your level of IQ is even like a garbage level of IQ. And then you want to claim you want to find contradictions in the Quran. It's just your IQ which is messed up. You need to go to the doctor to check it up again. Just like when we are telling Christians that there is no Trinity in your book, they are trying to add up things which is not explicitly written. They add it up and claim there's Trinity. You know, they say the Father is God, the Son is God, the Holy Spirit is God, and yet Holy Spirit never claimed to be God. Jesus never claimed to be God, right? It is only the Father who claims to be God, but yet the pagans among Christians who keep telling you Jesus is God. So if somebody say babashuaib is the president of Ghana, does that mean officially I'm the president of Ghana just because somebody is saying? But the foolish among Christians, they will say, oh, because somebody called Jesus God and he didn't say anything, that makes him God. So that is exactly what the Tariqa to Tijaniya people do in Ghana. Just because somebody called Sheikh Ibrahim God, the pagan Christian mindset think Sheikh Ibrahim is actually God. That's how they think. Okay. So, Quran chapter 10, verse 82, God says, وَيُحِقُّ اللَّهُ الْحَقَّ بِكَلِمَاتِهِ وَلَوْ كَرَهَ الْمُجْرِمُونَ. So, God will enforce the truth with his words, even if the criminals dislike it. It is the words of God we are going to use to enforce the truth, not somebody's words, right? Okay. So now, I'm going to play the video again. So let's access the video and see what the guy was claiming.
Where the Quran claims something, but later claims the opposite. So here's 3. 1. The Quran both claims the heavens were created before the earth and after the earth. The Quran clearly claims here Allah first created the earth and then the heavens. But here, the Quran clearly claims Allah first created the heavens and then spread out and thereby created the earth.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, he's using English to make his claims, and I'm going to use English to reassess him so that you see the level of IQ he has. And like I keep saying, not all people have the high level of IQ. Even in the classroom, not every student has a high level of IQ. Some people have a very low IQ, right? So when they question things, they are only questioning things from the way they are saying it. They cannot think in somebody else's shoes. No. We don't have people who are such geniuses who can be in somebody else's shoes to think what other people are thinking, right? So now I take it back. Listen to his statement.
The Quran both claims the heavens were created before the earth, and
he says the Quran both claims that the heaven and the earth were created before. The Quran claims earth was created before the heavens and after the heavens. That is his claim.
And after the earth. The Quran clearly claims here Allah first created the earth and then the heavens.
Then he put Quran chapter 2 verse 29 on the screen. Then he says the Quran first created the earth here and then, you understand? So he's putting his words into the translation while the translation is on the screen, but using his words to make a claim. So we are going to break that down.
But here, the Quran clearly claims Allah first created the heavens and then.
So he put chapter 79, verse 27 to make a claim. He says, then the Quran first claimed to create the heavens, and then, now this is he putting his own words into interpolating his words into what the Quran says. And I'm going to use his IQ to tell you the problem with people.
Spread out and thereby created the earth. The words after that are key, and almost all translations acknowledge this verse shows a sequence. Some Islamic scholars try to make sense of the Quran's contradiction by claiming Allah creates the earth, then he creates the heavens, and finally he spreads the earth out. However, this claim is very unconvincing because 229 explicitly states everything, or all, that is on the earth was created in one action, which means there can't have been parts of the earth being created before and after the heavens' creation. Others point out that tuma in Arabic sometimes means moreover instead of then. However, the context of Allah turning to create the heavens clearly demonstrates that he turned from the earth, then to the heavens in sequence, which contradicts 79:30. Finally, verse 41:11 states that Allah turned from the now created earth to the smoke of the unformed, not yet created heavens. Here, it doesn't matter what Tuma translates as, and so the Quran's contradiction is irrefutable. 2. The Quran claims the only food for people in hell is it doesn't matter what Tuma translates as.
Let's deal with the first claim, right? You heard the claim he made for the first claim, right? So I'm going to replay the first claim. Then we are going to assess it. Then you see the loopholes in his logic. So let's see the first claim.
All one has to do is find one contradiction where the Quran claims something but later claims the opposite. So here's 3. 1. The Quran both claims the heavens were created before the earth and after the earth.
He said the first claim, he says the Quran claims the earth was created before the heavens and after the heavens. Okay.
The Quran clearly claims here Allah.
So Quran chapter 2 verse 29, he put it on the screen. So let me put it on the screen, then you see Quran chapter 2 verse 29, right? Where is it? So Quran chapter 2 verse 29. He is the one who created what is on earth entirely for you. Listen to the statement. He didn't say in this verse, he's not saying he created the earth. According to the guy's claim, he is saying that God said he created the earth first. God was not mentioning anything about creating the earth first in this statement. According to this verse, listen carefully. Of course, if you are building a house, you start with the foundation before you build the roof. That is exactly what God did, right? You build the earth first before you go and build the roof. That is what you have to do, right? Okay. But this guy's claim, he's trying to say, Quran chapter 2, verse 29, God says he created the earth. God never mentioned about creating the earth in that verse. So let me tell you how it works when people are trying to find contradictions in something. How they play with the words, the semantic. They try to twist in the narrative with their own understanding. And that is why I say, correctional officer gets you one-on-one. I will examine your logic, your level of IQ. I'm serious. He is the one who created what is on earth. Listen carefully. He's not talking about the earth. He's talking about what is on earth. He is the one who created what is on earth entirely for you. So this statement is based in the context of what is you find on the earth. Then he says, then he set up to the heaven and then organized them as 7 heavens. Right? And he is aware of all things. This is what the verse says. So listen to the guy's claim.
First created the earth and then the heavens.
Is that what the verse says? The verse doesn't say he first created the earth and then the heavens. That's not what the verse is claiming. But he used the verse for his argument in a different perspective, trying to make you think this is a contradictory statement. So we are going to show you the level of his IQ. This is British conservative.
But here, the Quran clearly claims Allah first created the heavens and then spread out and thereby...
Now, then he put to chapter 79. Let me go here. He went to Quran chapter 79, verse 27. And I'm going to show you the problem when people don't actually read to see what the Quran actually says. Quran chapter 79, verse 27 is a question God is asking. Are you more difficult in creation or the sky? He constructed it, right? And sorry, this is the video. He quoted chapter 79, verse 27. Right? Then he put it up to, I think, verse 29. So I'm going to put it, you see on the screen. So God says, are you more difficult, you the people, are you more difficult in creation or the sky? So it's a comparison. Which one is more difficult? Is it the sky which is more difficult or you the people? He constructed it. He, God, constructed the sky, right? Okay. Verse 28. So he's now going to explain to you how he constructed the sky. He raised its ceiling and organized it. Verse 29, and darkened its night and brought forth its forenoon. This is what the verse says. But check on the screen what the guy was claiming. If you check on the screen here, he put chapter 79, verse 27, where God is asking the question, are you more difficult to create or the sky? He constructed it. That's the question. So then this guy wrote, he raised it high and proportioned it. He darkened its night and brought out its morning light. Then he says, after that, he spread out the earth. Good. So now let's go back to the verse. Verse 30. And after that, he spread out the earth. After that, he spread out the earth. He didn't say he created the earth. Listen carefully. God didn't say in chapter 79, verse 30, he created the earth. If I say I spread out something, that thing might already be there, but I'm spreading it out. Just like God says he's going to continue to expand the creation of the universe. He's expanding it. It's in a continuum process. But of course, God has already finished creation since day one, but he's expanding it. Do you understand the logic here? So when God says after that, he spread out the earth. He didn't say after that, he created the earth. Check the choice of words. Fools will interpolate words and try to say, oh, but it is the same thing. No, it is not the same thing. Okay.
And thereby created the earth. The words after that are key. And
now he says the words after that is the key. No, that's not the key. After that doesn't denote there's a creation. When he says spread out. Ladies and gentlemen, I have an egg. The egg is already created. When I spread it out, doesn't mean I'm now creating the egg. When I spread out the egg on a frying pan, doesn't mean I'm now creating the egg. The egg is already created. Me spreading out the egg on the frying pan doesn't mean I'm now creating the egg. Do you understand me? So when God says after that, he spread out the earth. Listen carefully. He didn't say after that, he created the earth. Choice of words. Simple logic. If a carpet is already created, when you go to buy a carpet, right, from the shop, a carpet has already been manufactured. You spreading it out in your room doesn't mean it is now created. This is the level of IQ I'm talking about. When a person has a low IQ and they examine something, to them, they see its contradiction, just like the guy said too. His English is bad. His level of IQ is kaput. But yet he's claiming he's finding contradiction. He doesn't see the contradiction in his own brain, in his logic. But he wants to see contradiction in the Quran. Kaput. So this is the same game of semantic this guy was playing. So let's check the YouTube this thing. Okay.
almost all translations acknowledge this verse shows a sequence. Some Islamic scholars try to make sense of the Quran's contradiction by claiming Allah creates the earth.
Is going to the extent and saying Quranic contradiction. Does he understand the meaning of contradiction anyhow? No, I don't think so. Because had the Quran used the word in chapter 79 verse 30 and said, then after that he created the earth, that becomes a contradiction. Do you see my point? God never used the word after that he created the earth. But somebody with a low IQ will tell you what is the difference between spread out and created. Low IQ.
Earth, then he creates the heavens, and finally he spreads the earth out. However, this claim is very unconvincing.
Do you hear what he said? Somebody has already explained to him. This low IQ person said this claim is unconvincing. What do you think the Quran is here for? To convince everybody, a mushrik even, a pagan? Look, there is truth in this world. The truth is not meant to convince everybody. People can see the truth and still deny it. The truth is not supposed to make sense to everybody. Something can be the truth, but it is nonsensical to you because of your level of IQ. So if you said a claim they give you is unconvincing, that shows your level of IQ. Simple. You ask a question. They gave you the answer. You said the answer is unconvincing. Listen, you didn't say the answer is wrong. He didn't say the answer is wrong. He says the answer is unconvincing. I just gave you the example with what happened between me and my daughter, right? About the washing of the hands. I gave her the answer, but it is unconvincing. It was based on a level of IQ. I don't need to force myself to convince her. It might not make sense to her at that moment, but in future, it might make sense to her. So why should I waste my time to actually convince a low IQ person when they are not convinced about something? I just put you aside because there are a lot of wise people to be convinced. Do you get my point? So with my daughter, like I explained for those who are here before, I went to her with to the toilet to wash our hands. I washed my hands, she washed her hands. We are going to eat. When we came back to the kitchen, I have to serve the food. Now the spoon I touched, I forgot that whilst I was cooking, I held it to use it for something. So I wasn't supposed to touch the spoon again. So when I touched the spoon, right? When I touched the spoon, that side was very dirty. I can't use my bare hands again to go and eat raw. So I have to go back again, wash my hands again, and then come back to eat. So my daughter was looking at me stunned. She's like, Papa, why did you go to wash your hands again? You just wash your hands. I said, yeah, I know. I wash my hands. She said, but why did you go? I said, I have to go because I touched something. She said, but it doesn't matter. It's just the kitchen. You understand? So it doesn't make sense to her, me going back to wash my hands because she thinks I'm in the kitchen, not in the toilet. So in the kitchen, she thinks everything. You understand? How am I supposed to convince her? Because it shows her level of IQ at that point. So I don't need to force myself to convince her. Do you get my point? So the same, yes, somebody said looking at you dead in the eye. Yeah, exactly. She'll be looking at me thinking, what is wrong with my baba? My baba is stupid. Maybe that's what she's thinking in the head. Because she's thinking, this man just went to the toilet with me to wash his hands. He's washing his hands again. What's wrong with him? And then imagine somebody looking at you from afar, thinking you have OCD. Or maybe, do you understand me? So same goes with these people with low IQ. When they take the Quran, checking translations, and you try to take just like the Sato guy was doing, I was explaining things to him, but because he has a low IQ, he keeps saying, no, it doesn't make sense. It's contradiction. Let's continue. Thank you.
Because 229 explicitly states everything or all.
Now he goes, chapter 2, verse 29. He says it explicitly says everything on the earth. Now listen, if it's talking about on the earth, it is not the same as the earth. If I say everything in the house belongs to me, it doesn't mean I'm talking about the house itself. Listen to simple English. If I say everything in the house belongs to me, it is not the same as saying the house itself belongs to me. There's a big difference. But people with low IQ think when you are talking about what is in the house, it means you are talking about the house itself being for you. So that's the same logic this guy was using to examine this scenario. So let's check.
That is, on the earth was created in one action, which means there can't have been parts of the earth being created before and after the heavens' creation. Others point out that tuma in Arabic sometimes means moreover instead of then. However, the context of Allah turning to create the heavens clearly demonstrates that he turned from the earth, then to the heavens.
So this guy is trying to say that Quran chapter, let me go back here. He mentioned that Quran chapters, which one am I sharing? Yeah, let me go this one. Yeah. Quran chapter 79, verse 27 to what? To 30, to 29. It says, are you more difficult in creation or the sky? He constructed it. He raised its ceiling and organized it. And he darkened its night and brought forth its forenoon. And after that, he spread out the earth. He didn't say after that he created the earth. This guy is saying that is a contradiction compared to what? Quran chapter 2, verse 29. Now listen. In Quran chapter 2, verse 29, he is the one who created what is on earth. He didn't say who created the earth. But listen to these two verses. They are not the same in contrast, right? Who created what is on earth entirely for you. Then he set up to the heaven and then organized them as 7 heavens. and he is aware of all things. So here it is not talking about sequence of creation. He's just telling you in the context of what you need to know what ye God did for you. Do you understand? So then in this context, he says he is the one who created what is on earth entirely for you. This is what he is talking about. You don't compare this verse to chapter 7 to 9, verse 27 to 29. They are not the same issue. There is no contradiction there. But let's see where he's going with this argument in order to find contradiction.
In sequence, which contradicts 79:30. Finally, verse 41:11.
Okay, so now he's going to chapter 41, verse 11, and we are going to read it and see if there's a contradiction.
States that Allah turned from the now created earth to the smoke of the unformed, not yet created heavens. Here.
Now, we are going to put a verse on the screen, right? Chapter 41, let's start from verse 8. Let's start from verse 9. Many a times you see the pagans among Christians and agnostic and atheists quoting this verse because they have a shallow mind when it comes to understanding the knowledge of the Quran. So now let's see. Quran chapter 41 verse 9. Say, do you indeed disbelieve in the one who created the earth in 2 days? So the earth, he created it in 2 days. By assigning counterparts to him, that is the Lord of the worlds, right? Do you indeed disbelieve who created the earth? Okay. Now listen. Verse 10. And he placed therein anchors above it, that's above the earth, and blessed therein and estimated its nourishment therein within 4 days. So with the 2 days that he created the earth, within 4 days of the creation of the 2 days of the earth, you understand, creation of the earth is different from whatever is inside the earth. So within 4 days, he put all these things inside the earth. Then he says it is the same for the questioners. So that is 4 days, including that 2 he mentioned above. But when a person with a low IQ is talking, because the question was asked in verse 9, do you indeed disbelieve in the one who created the earth in 2 days? So they separate the 2 days aside. It's just like me building a house. And I told you I used 2 days to build a house. Then within 4 days, I put everything inside. So when I use the word within 4 days, a low IQ person is thinking this 4 days is separated from the 2 days. Not knowing that these 2 days is already included within the 4 days. So an atheist, agnostic, a pagan is calculating already 6 days. This is how the pagans count. Okay, let's continue. Verse 11. Then he set up to the heaven while it was smoke, and said to it and to the earth, come willingly or unwillingly. They said, we come willingly. Verse 12. Consequently, when he did all that, consequently, he completed them as 7 heavens in 2 days. You understand? The heavens, 2 days. The earth, 2 days. Then within the 4 days, he made the earth and whatever is inside. So 4 days he used to create the earth, and 2 days he used to create the heavens. But when a pagan, agnostic, and an atheist are calculating, they will calculate the 2 for the earth differently, then 4 within differently, then 2 differently, and then they say this is a contradiction. That is 8 days. You are the dumbest fool ever. Where did God say directly in the verse, I created the earth in 8 days? No way. Do you understand? Now, what baffles me is what a pagan Christian who claim God is 3 in 1 like a shampoo is trying to tell you there's a contradiction in this verse by doing mathematics. And yet, when we do the same mathematics for your stupidity and tell you 3-in-1 shampoo, you are offended. You are putting God 3-in-1 in a shampoo. Yes, mathematics. You fail to use it, but you come to the Quran and then you come and say, "Oh, you see, 2 + 4 + 2. Is it not 8 days? Is it not a contradiction? Where did God say 8 days?" You come and face me. Babashuaib will weigh your logic. Let's see. You see, mushrik, you the pagans. You're out there watching me. You see, I'll get you. So, verse 12. Consequently, he completed them as 7 heavens in 2 days, and inspired each heaven its command. And we adorned the lowest heaven with lamps and garden. That is the estimation of the Almighty, the Omniscient. You see the estimation of God. So a person with a high level of IQ know this is 6 days. A person with a low IQ is calculating 2 + 4 + 2, and he says, how much is that? 8. Do you see how their IQ works? Simple. Do you get the point? Let's continue.
It doesn't matter what Tuma translates as, and so the Quran's contradiction is irrefutable. 2. The Quran claims the only...
Now, do you see the claim he made? By saying that the Quran's claim is irrefutable. He forget that based on his level of IQ is for him to be thinking that this is a contradiction. Do you see? This is the problem with the agnostic, the pagans among Christians, and the atheists. Okay, let's continue. He's going to bring argument number 2.
Only food for people in hell is dari.
He says the Quran claims people in hell only eat dari. That's not the claim the Quran make. This is a mistranslation the guy is going to do again. Then he says, but also that they only what?
A bitter, thorny plant.
They only eat pus from wounds. Then he translated as gisle. We are going to check the Quran to see what the Quran says.
But it also claims...
So now, he made a claim of this mendari. That is Quran chapter 88, verse 6. Quran chapter 88, verse 6. This is the translation, sir. He says, لَيْسَ لَهُمْ طَعَامٌ إِلَّا مِنْ ضَرِيعٍ. Min dari. They will have no food except from pus. So let's put this here. We are going to see the context of all the verses he quoted to see, is it his IQ which has the problem, or is it a contradiction from the Quran? We are going to check. Let's continue.
The only food for people in hell is pus from wounds.
You see what he says? He says the Quran says the only food for people who are in hell, the only food, listen, the only food for people who are in hell is what? Pus from the wound, right? Okay.
To explain this contradictions...
So now he's going to say this verse is contradicting chapter 69, verse 36. That is what he's saying. He's saying this chapter 88, verse 6 is contradicting chapter 69, verse 36. So listen.
Some writers claim that the word haslin in Arabic means a type of tree, according to one hadith.
Now, he's using the hadith to actually give a meaning into the Quran. Do you see what he did? He's using the hadith. Yes, actually, it is king of truth. What you said is the truth. Let me see. Yes, I do. Yeah, I need some moderators. Yes, that's true. Let me see. Yeah, King of Truth, I've given you that moderation. Yeah, I've given you some moderation, King of Truth. You can use the privilege. Yuki, I can give you. Yeah, let me give to Yuki also. Then you can deal with the bozos in the comment section so that they can leave the page. They are becoming a knapsack. Let me see. So, King of Truth, I've given you the privilege. And I can give, let's say, Yuki. Yeah, Yuki, I've added you as a moderator, right? So you can moderate by dealing with the bozos there. Yeah, you can mute them or deal with them. Yes, let's continue. Sorry about that. I had to deal with the people on TikTok. Yeah? Okay, let's continue. So listen to his claim.
But the overwhelming consensus for hundreds of years, as shown by these translations,
So he keep taking hadith books, hadith references to add up to the issue of the verse in Quran chapter 69, verse 36. So let's see what he comes up with.
is that it is pus from the sores of humans in hell, which greatly undermines his claim.
He says the consensus that the ghislin is pus, not a tree, right? The ghislin is pus, not a tree. So he cited verses like Quran chapter 88 verse 6 and Quran chapter 69 verse 36, right? And he's going to bring the last
Furthermore, even if one could explain this away, the Quran also states people in hell eat from a zakum tree, which bears fruit.
So now he quotes chapter 37 verse 62. Then he says the tree of zakum eats fruits like the devil's heads, and the people in hell will eat from it and fill their bellies with it. This is his understanding, and I'll
Like
show
a
you.
devil's head, and is certainly not the same as the small thorny plant called dari. This constitutes another contradiction,
So he said he has found a contradiction.
since dari is the only.
According to him, he says Quran chapter 88 verse 6 contradicts Quran chapter 37 verse 66. That is his understanding. We are going to see.
Food they eat according to one verse, but not the only food according to another.
Do you see? So now let's examine into context and see if it is a contradiction. We go to Quran chapter 88. And we read from verse 2 to verse 7, right? Chapter 88, verse 2 to verse 7. He is making a claim by Quran chapter 88, verse 6. So let's read the context and see the level of IQ this person has. Okay, I'm putting it on the screen. I share the tab. Now, verse 80, chapter 88, verse 6. On that day, some faces will be humbled. Verse 3, actively exhausted. Verse 4, they will burn in a heated fire. Verse 5, they will be given to drink from a boiling spring water. Verse 6, that is, لَيْسَ لَهُمْ طَعَامٌ إِلَّا مِنْ ضَرِيعٍ. So that is, they will have no food except from pus. Listen to the context. On that day, some faces will be humbled, actively exhausted. They will burn in a heated fire. They will be given to drink from a boiling spring water. They will have no food except from pus. Verse 7, neither fattens nor satisfies any hunger. Okay, I'm going to put the verse here. I'm going to put, when we say pus, we are talking about a fluid product of inflammation. A fluid product of inflammation. That is pus. I don't know if I can put it on the screen here. Maybe you can see. Let me see if I can put it on the screen. Now, these are some of the pictures on the screen. When we say fluid, normally from pus, when you press your pimple, you see some liquid coming like a whitish liquid, or from a wound. When you press, you see it coming out like a milk, right? So something of pus like that will be coming. That's the food they'll be eating, something of that sort. Okay. So now, we go back to the verse. So I just read Quran chapter 88, verse 2 to verse 7, right? Okay, we've seen the context. So write it down. We are going to compare it to Quran chapter 69, verse 36, and then compare it to Quran chapter 37, verse 66, right? Okay. So let's go to 69. So 69, then we go to verse 25, and we read into the context coming down, right? We are reading the context coming down. It says, as for one who is giving his record to his left hand, he will then say, oh, if only I had not been given my record, right? Verse 26, and had not known what was my account. Verse 27, oh, if only it had been decisive. Verse 28, my wealth has not availed me. Verse 29, my authority has been taken away from me. Seize him and shackle him, and then burn him in hell. Consequently, in a chain whose measure is 70 arms, so put him in. Indeed, he did not believe in God the Great, nor did he urge on feeding of the poor. So he does not have a close friend here today, nor food except of swill, that is ghislin, that is written. Now, when we say swill, is wet feed. Remember, earlier on, when I showed you the dari is what? Pus. We already saw what pus is. It's a liquid. This chapter 69, verse 25, coming to verse 36. Now God is repeating by telling you they will not have food except swill. The swill is what? It's like a liquid. It's still liquid, but it is just another name, a version name of that same type of liquid which is going to be given. So it's a wet feed consisting of most kitchen waste mixed with water, skimmed or sour milk. So when we say pus, you saw how pus look like, right? It's like a milk. So when God again here says ghislin, ghislin is same type, but just a different name. So it will come out like the skimmed milk. You know how skimmed milk looks like? It's just like pus. Do you understand me? Now, this verse I just read into context, it's still in the same line with chapter 88, verse 2 to verse 6. This guy says there's a contradiction because he went to the hadith books to take up a meaning of ghislin. Listen, he went to the hadith book to take up a meaning of ghislin, to try to make sense of the Quran and saying there's a contradiction. Now, this is the foolishness of the pagans among Christians, the pagans who are atheists, and then the agnostic. This is some of their foolishness because of their low IQ. Now, again, we go again to Quran chapter 37, verse 66, where he made another claim. He says, when you compare with this, that is a contradiction. So we are going to check. We go to Quran chapter 37. Then we check from verse 62 to 68. And let's see if it's a contradiction. So God says, is that a better lodging or the tree of bitterness? That is what we call what? Zakum. Then verse 63. Indeed, we have made it a torment for the transgressors. Indeed, it is a tree which will come forth in the root of hell. Its emergence is as if it were the heads of the devils. For indeed they will eat from it and fill their bellies therefrom. Then indeed they will have a mixture of magma on top of it. Then indeed their return is to hell. Now, I'm reading from 62 to 68. Were they already in hell? Or are they now going to be returned to hell? Remember, for those who have read Quran chapter 7 verse 40, you read up to downwards. It tells you when some people enter hell, they will be asking for water. Right? They will be asking for water. Now, that place they will be asking for water, that is the punishment they are going to be given on that side before they are returned to the hell. So when you read into the context coming from up, 62, it says, is that a better lodging or the tree of bitterness? It says, indeed, we have made it a torment for the transgressors. 64, indeed, it is a tree which will come forth in the root of hell. Its emergence is as if it were the heads of the devils. For indeed, they will eat from it and fill the bellies. Now, this pus we talk about, this swill we talk about, this zakum is talking about from the root of hell. Now, imagine having something from the root of hell. Listen carefully. This thing coming is already like a skimmed milk. This thing coming is just like a pus from inflammation. You know how it is. Now, God says, for indeed they will eat from it and fill their bellies therefrom. And what happens? Then indeed they will have a mixture of magma on top of it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you take hot water, I'm giving an example, just take hot water, only hot water, and put it in your mouth. What happens? Now, somebody is going to take something already in hell. That thing, is it going to fill your belly? No. So in the context of whatever God is explaining, still it is telling you this thing they are going to eat is describing it with different forms, telling you the same thing. But somebody who has never been to hell is already in this world, imagining and telling you, no, it cannot be. If God says this, that thing, no, cannot be like this, or it doesn't look like this. Have you seen the zakum before? The answer is no. Does anybody have this zakum on this earth? The answer is no. So God is describing something you have no idea of, and then you just say that is a contradiction. No, of course, because if it is boiling, if it's coming from the root of hell and it's already boiling, it's going into your mouth, how does it fill your belly again? If it goes in the belly, you pour magma on it, everything goes down, everything melts. So God says that pus will never fattens or satisfies you. It doesn't satisfy you from hunger. You understand? It does no use in the belly. So understanding the choices of words, just like when God says he created human from dust. And then another point when he says he created human from water. Now, somebody with a low IQ doesn't understand why God is using this choice of words. Adam was created from dust, number one. But when Adam has to procreate, if he has to procreate, he has to use sperm to insert into his female counterpart in order. So this sperm still is being used to create human beings. So human beings, when God says humans are created from water, what is wrong with that? And in order to have clay, you put dust into water, what does it become? It becomes clay. So when God is saying created human beings from water, there's no contradiction. When God says he created human being from clay or dust, there's no contradiction. But a person with a low IQ will say, look here, God says dust, And here he's saying clay, and here he's saying water. Oh no, it's a contradiction. If you ask him, you the human being, you the atheist, were you not created from water? Were you not created from water? You were from water, right? Okay. Did you see the first creation of a human being before? He will tell you no. The one who created the human being in the first place says it's coming from dust. It's coming from clay. What is wrong with that? Do you see how the logic of an agnostic or a pagan or an atheist work? Because everything for them, they have to see it before they can pass judgment on it. So why are you passing judgment of things you haven't seen? Well, so now his last claim before I end this, right? Let's take his last claim here.
3. Finally, the Quran claims it is a completely clear.
The Quran never uses the word completely clear. Now, this is my problem with the pagans, the sectarians, so not sectarians, the Christians, the atheists, the agnostic. This is my problem with you, your choice of words. Just like in the debate I had with David Wood and God Logic Avery, they keep using the word perfectly detailed, completely detailed, adding their own words just to polish, you understand, the agenda, what they want to ask you, to polish everything. Now, what they forget to understand is when you are reading a verse, read the verse to the end to understand that verse, the statement God is asking. So I remember in the debate when Avery was saying the Quran is fully detailed, and I said, for who? I keep asking him, for who? Or to who? He doesn't want to answer that. He says the Quran is detailed, right? And I said, for who? He doesn't want to answer. He kept avoiding that. He kept on avoiding. I said, for who is it fully detailed? For who? He kept avoiding that. Because pagans, Christians, agnostic, atheists, they all have an agenda when they are attacking the Quran. So now listen to this guy's point of view whilst he was attacking the Quran. Listen what he said.
Fully detailed book, but it also claims there are parts of the book which are ambiguous.
The Quran doesn't claim to be ambiguous. The word ambiguous is not in the Quran. Let me show you something. That most of the times people try to twist the Quran in their own way to suit their agenda. God used the word that the Quran doesn't have what we call iwaja. Iwaja means crookedness. There's no twist in the Quran. Then I'm showing you something here. When you go to Quran chapter 39 verse 28, God says, Qur'anan Arabiyan ghayra zi iwaj. La'allahum yattaqun. So God says an Arabic reading without crookedness, perhaps they will become pious. The Quran doesn't have crookedness inside. This guy is claiming the Quran is ambiguous. Yet, if I should sit down one-on-one with him, show me one word where it clearly says ambiguous, there will be a problem. Now, this is my problem when people take translations, especially translations of Sahih Bukhari followers, and then you claim you are finding contradictions in the Quran. This is my problem with you. Listen to his claim.
Fully detailed book, but it also claims there are parts of the book which are ambiguous.
God never said the parts of the book are ambiguous. But let's listen to his claim.
And not well detailed.
And then he used the word and not well detailed. Quran never said that. No, he never said that. I'm giving you an example how the Quran works. Let's say a mathematician, a student of mathematics, A student of mathematics, when a teacher from the classroom who is a mathematician is explaining mathematics formula, it is clear for a mathematics student. How about you who is not a mathematician? Is it clear for you? No. So in order for that mathematics formula to be clear for you, the one who is not a mathematician, you have to embark on studying, taking up knowledge to study so that you can also have the clarity. Why do you expect to have clarity when you don't study something? Why do you expect to just take the Quran because it says guidance for mankind, you just understand it? I give an example. Drivers who drive cars, they use navigators, right? Now, let's assume you are not a driver. You sit in the car. Can you use a navigator? You have no idea how it works. So you need to take up knowledge and study and learn how to use a navigator in a car. Simple. So if God is saying the Quran is clear, doesn't mean every Dick, Tom, and Harry will just take it and see it clearly. So I don't understand how these pagans, the agnostic, some of the Christians, how your brain works. But it tells me your level of IQ is low. So let's check.
To answer this contradiction, Islamic scholars turn to very complex and lengthy analyses of the Arabic language. In the hands of an apologist, the Quran's Arabic can mean just about anything. So, one should concern oneself with reality, not these abstractions. It is more than plausible that Muhammad created the Quran himself and, being human, made mistakes and revealed verses from Allah that contradicted earlier verses. There have been a great number of false prophets through the ages, and but for a quirk of history, Muhammad today might be unknown, like, say, Simon bar Kokhba. Who's that, you say? Exactly. In conclusion, the Quran is not the perfect word of Allah, since it contains at least 3 contradictions.
That contradiction you showed in your first instance of contradiction is not a contradiction. It's just that you have a low IQ. So this goes to British conservative. I'm going to answer your last contradiction, the third one you claim. The verses you quoted, let's examine them and check if they are actually contradictions or not. So he put Quran chapter 6 verse 126 on the screen. And let's check. Quran chapter 6 verse 126. It says, وَهَذَا صِرَاطُ رَبِّكَ مُسْتَقِيمًا فَقَدْ فَصَّلْنَا الْآيَاتِ لِقَوْمِ يَذَّكَّرُونَ. So he put this verse, Quran chapter 6 verse 126, on the screen. And it says, and this is the straight path of your Lord. We have detailed the verses for people who remember. So it clearly tells you a person who cannot remember, you don't see any detail there. For people who can take heed and remember, these are the people God has actually detailed the verses. Quran didn't use the word, we have completely detailed, we have fully detailed, we have perfectly detailed, as the pagans. I don't know why they keep concocting, trying to put words there so that it can suit their agenda. They are using the word perfectly detailed, fully detailed, completely detailed. What are you doing that for? The word simply means detailed. Do you understand? It's just like you are talking to the wise person and a foolish person. A wise person, a word to a wise is enough. So the word to a wise, he already has the details of what you're saying. You don't need to speak a lot of gibberish to a wise person. But an ignorant person, you have to take the whole page of something to describe something to him before he get it. So when we say the Quran is detailed, it's detailed for we the believers, especially who possess intelligence, not for you, the Dick, Tom, and Harry, who said God is 3 in 1 like a shampoo. No. We are talking about this is the straight path of your Lord. We have detailed the verses for people who remember. That's what God says. Did God say we have detailed the verses for every Dick, Tom, and Harry? The answer is no. But every Dick, Tom, and Harry still want to take the Quran and think, yeah, since the Quran says detail, why can't I find this here? Why can't I find Masjid al-Aqsa? Where is it located? Do you know where it is located? Tell me, tell me. What does a believer need that details for? It's not that details we are talking about. When we say God has detailed his book, it's for the guidance purpose. He's give you details of how to be guided to him. Details of where Mecca is located. What? Can you show me where Mecca is located from the Quran? Can you show me Masjid al-Aqsa? Where is it located? If the Quran says he give you details, what? The Quran says he gives me locations? Or you don't understand how details again works? We're talking about details. We are not talking about locations. Seriously? The next verse he quoted was Quran chapter 41 verse 3. In Quran chapter 41 verse 3, it says, Kitabun fussilat ayatuhu Qur'anan Arabiyan liqawmi ya'lamun. A book whose verses have been elaborated. Whose verses have been elaborated. Yeah, so there's something missing here. So we have to update it on the website. An Arabic reading for people who know. That is Arabian. Arabian, that is Quran and Arabian, an Arabic reading for people who know. Now, a book whose verses have been elaborated. An Arabic reading for people who know. Now, somebody who doesn't know and takes up the Quran, he will be flabbergasted. He will be confused. He will be confused. God is talking in the verse, a book whose verses have been what? Elaborated as an Arabic reading for people who know. Do you know? You the pagans, do you know? Do you know how the details of the Quran work? The answer is no, you don't know. Then you go to the extensive. The Quran mentions Masjid al-Aqsa. Where is it located? So are you telling me if the Quran mentions paradise, Jannah, I need to know where it is located again? Seriously? So if the Quran says there will be paradise for me, you are going to ask me that where is it located? So since God didn't say where it is located, the Quran is not detailed because it has to tell you the date of birth of Adam. It has to tell you the date of birth of Muhammad because that shows it's fully detailed. Seriously, that is not the Quran. That's why the Quran is not for fools. It's for those who possess intelligence to actually comprehend what is being said. Do you understand? So clearly on that day of the debate, we told them the Quran is meant for the believer. A believer who possesses intelligence knows the details of what God is talking about. So if the Quran says details, we have given you the details of everything. It's for your guidance. And I keep saying, Quran chapter 16 verse 89, God says to the Prophet, we have revealed the book to you as a clarification for all things. But when a foolish pagan is taking the Quran, or a Christian or agnostic is taking up the Quran, because it says we have revealed the book as a clarification for all things, they think since the Quran says the clarification for all things means it has to clarify how you have to use your television. They will say, show me in the book where it clarifies how to use your mobile phone. So clearly in the debates, I was asking the guy, the godlord, Avery, I was saying, if it says detailed, it is in the context of the guidance of the Quran. The guidance of the Quran has given you the details of everything concerning guidance. It is not like details saying that, oh, if it's mentioned Mecca, it has to give you the roadmap to Mecca. Or if it's mentioned Masjid al-Aqsa, so he has to give you the roadmap to Masjid al-Aqsa. Seriously? But pagans. So the next verse, the guy quoted, put on the screen chapter 11, verse 11. Chapter 11, verse 1. Why he says, Alif Lam Ra, Kitabun uhkimat ayatuhu, thumma fussilat, min ladun hakimin khabir. Right? Yeah, somebody says they want in the Quran also the course for driving license. I'm serious. They want even the Quran to show them how to get a driving license, because that's how the details is working for them. Stay soft says it makes sense what you are saying now. Yeah, thank you. So chapter 11 verse 1. Alif Lam Ra, a book whose verses have been mastered. The verses of the Quran has been what? Mastered. It's perfected. It doesn't need any addition. It's perfected already. It's mastered already. And then elaborated. It has been elaborated. Or you can use the word detailed. Yes. By the wise and cognizant. So it is God himself who detailed it. But he has detailed it not for everyone. He didn't say this book is detailed for everybody. Do you understand me? So this is why on the day of the debate, our opponents weren't able to quote a verse where it says it's detailed for everybody. So we clearly even corrected him on the day of the debate. I said, hey, you quote the verse, who is the book clarified for? Or who is the book detailed for? He's stuck. I said, you quoted a verse. You say, God says, shall I seek a judge other than God, while it is he who has revealed the book? And then he says, fully detailed. You know, I didn't want to create a scene. I could have asked him, where does he use the word fully there? It used the word detail, explain in detail. But where do you get the notion of fully detailed, perfectly detailed, completely detailed? Why are you adding your own words? Then I asked him, for who? Then he's like, yeah, he says fully detailed. And I said, for who? Yeah, he says fully detailed. For who? So simple English was even difficult for Avery to answer on that day. Simple English. For who? Yeah, he says fully detailed. I'm asking you for who? Yeah, it's fully detailed. The guy is so petty. So this guy is quoting chapter 11 verse 1. Again, to stipulate his argument, right? Again, the last one was Quran chapter 3 verse 7. Now, this is where the confusion comes. When people are trying to say, chapter 3 verse 7, where people are trying to say they are what? Ambiguous. We are going to check if there is a word ambiguous found in the Quran. So that's the last verse I'm going to quote. Then we end the program for today. Quran chapter 3 verse 7. It says, هو الذي أنزل عليك الكتاب منه آيات محكمات هن أم الكتاب وأخر متشابهة فأما الذين في قلوبهم زيغ فيتبعون ما تشابه منه ابتغاء فتنة وابتغاء تاويل وما يعلم تاويله إلا الله والراسخون في العلم. Then he says يقولون آمنا به كل من عند ربنا وما يذكر إلا أولي الألباب. So the verse says he is the one who has revealed the Al-Kitab, the book, to you, that is you, the believers, of which are precise signs. Thank you very much, Richard Green, for the gift. Then he says they are the source of the book. The precise signs you see in the Quran are the source of the book itself. While others are similar, it didn't say while others are ambiguous. Do you see the problem of when pagans take translations, or agnostic or Christians take translations and think they understand the Quran? Whilst others are similar, the word mutashabiha means something which is resemblance, similar. Like twins, when we take twins, twins are similar because they resemble each other, but it doesn't mean they are the same. Twins are similar. Some signs in the Quran are similar, but it takes people of knowledge, somebody who possesses knowledge, to know the difference when they are similar. Just like a parent know the difference between twins that they have. A parent, because they are the one who gave birth to the twins, they have knowledge of the twins and they can differentiate who is who. Do you understand? So here God says, as for those in whose hearts is deviation. They will then follow what is similar thereof. It didn't say what is ambiguous thereof. So I don't know where they are getting the translations of the word ambiguous. God never used the word ambiguous. Anyways, so what these people with deviation in their hearts do is seeking discord. They seek fitna and seeking its interpretation, because they will tell you, oh, since it is ambiguous or since it is this, we cannot understand it. Let's go to our hadith books. Let's go outside the Quran to find the meaning. That is where the problem comes. But they do not know its interpretation except Allah. That is number one. It doesn't stop there. In English, you can put a comma, except Allah. Then it says, as well as those deeply rooted in knowledge. Because God cannot reveal a book which only Him knows the meaning. Then the book becomes worthless. If it is only God who knows the meaning of the book will become worthless. Because then why did He send the book to us? But what the people do when they are deviating the translations is they will say only God knows the meaning. And then they stop there. If only God knows the meaning, then what is the book there for mankind to do? It's just like somebody who created the phone. This is Nokia, right? Then the Nokia company will say only them know how to use the phone. Then why are they selling the phone to us? Do you understand? So when you complete the book, the verse, then it says, as well as those deeply rooted in knowledge. It tells you to have knowledge before approaching the Quran is very essential. That is why Quran chapter 17 verse 36 says, وَلَا تَخْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ. Do not pursue that of which you have no knowledge. You don't have knowledge about something, don't pursue it. Do you see the point? So when God says, none knows it, they do not know its interpretation except Allah, as well as those deeply rooted in knowledge. So those deeply rooted in knowledge, they say, we believe in it. All is from our Lord. But only those of intelligence will remember. So those who have intelligence, they know this verse is not talking about any ambiguity. It is talking about similar. A verse can be similar to another verse here, but it doesn't mean they always mean the same thing. You just need to check the context to understand what is being spoken. So this is the problem with people when they take the Quran without knowledge and then they just say anything anyhow. And that is the problem. So this guy, when he put this video and then he put these verses, to him, this was his understanding, and he's trying to put it into the Quran. So this is his last claim.
You say. Exactly. In conclusion, the Quran is not the perfect word of Allah.
So in conclusion, somebody who is not actually learned on the Quran or who doesn't have knowledge of the Quran is saying the Quran is not perfect word of God. Says it has at least 3 contradictions according to British conservative. Number 1.
Since it contains at least 3 contradictions which Allah wouldn't create.
So he says the Quran contains 3 contradictions which God wouldn't create. Heaven, then earth, or earth, then heaven. It is your mindset. God created the earth first and then went to create the heaven. That is how every logical creator does. So does every logical constructor does. You are building a house, you don't start with the roof. You start with the foundation before you go to the roof. And the same thing God did. Number 2, he says only dari eaten in hell. God says ellah min dari. God didn't say they are going to eat dari. They are going to ellah min dari. Pus. So anything you are going to eat in hell is full of pus. Because even if you put the magma in your mouth, it's full of pus coming out of you. Do you understand? It's pus. There is nothing contradictive about that statement. 3, it says Quran completely clear or not. So you see how they are using the words completely to describe certain attributes of the Quran where God never used. So they will keep using completely, fully detailed, perfectly detailed. Where did God use such things?
Allah wouldn't create. Therefore, Muslims should not believe in the perfect truth of the Quran.
Look at the advice a pagan or agnostic or an atheist or a confused Christian will be giving Muslims. Therefore, Muslims should not believe in the Quran. Who born you by mistake? But you are willingly, joyfully trying to take a book which tells you you were created from monkeys, or you came from a revolution, you came from ape, chimpanzees that you like. Ladies and gentlemen, I've stayed here very long. I think it's almost 3 hours. I've taken very long. So I guess you will have the time to rewatch the program where you can get the benefit of the answers I've given. I wish I had enough time to tackle other questions I've been asked, right? But I'll tackle it next week, God willing. Or let's see if I have time Saturday. We'll see what happens. But I'll tackle it next week, inshallah. It's almost 3 hours. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate your presence. And I don't know if I have the energy to continue on TikTok. Maybe I can stay a bit before I step down, because I have to eat before I go to sleep. But thank you very much for those who are on Facebook, YouTube, for your presence and your support, and then for being present to take up this segment. I appreciate your support, and then we keep in touch, inshallah. And actually, with the GoFundMe donation, actually, the distribution of the food has actually started. I'll be putting up some pictures on the GoFundMe page. And thank you all for those who have actually donated. I appreciate your support. Thank you. God bless you all. May God increase you in your generosity and then your welfare, inshallah. I appreciate that a lot. For those who haven't donated yet, the link is on, let me see, I can put the link here. You go to if you go to the greatquran.com, the Great Quran, the page I'm using to access the Quran, you can go on there. The link is there if you're willing to donate. And for those who have my access to my PayPal, also, you are welcome to donate so that we continue on with the process. Thank you very much. And also, for those who don't have the copy of the Great Quran, the hardcover version, if you need a copy, kindly grab your copy. This is the link down there. It is www.payhip.com/natsal or www.holvi.com/shop/natsal. And also, for those who don't have my correctional officer phone number, it is there on the screen. If you need my phone number, my WhatsApp number, my Telegram number, try to get in touch, because I'm creating a group on Telegram and where I can add up people. If you have questions, you ask, and then when I have time, I'll do a program to answer your questions. So my number is +358 466 803144 +358 466 803144. That is the correctional officer's number. For anybody who wants to arrange a debate, a dialogue, a discussion, you want to ask questions, you are welcome. Take up my number, get in touch with me. I'm the one holding it directly. If I have time, normally I don't have time, but if I have time, I interact with you directly. Right? And so for those who don't know about my YouTube channel, is Bush2G9, or you find the correctional officer, babashuaib. Just set me up. You see my videos on there, where you can subscribe and actually benefit from a lot of lectures and rebuttals that I've done. And also my current trending videos, which is versus the scholars. Kindly watch it up and enjoy how I dealt with the scholars of the modern day, sectarians that we have. Right? So, ladies and gentlemen, this is where I bring this topic to an end on Facebook, YouTube. Thank you all, Abdul Samad, Nara Power, Tariq Ayub. The link Tariq Ayub, the link you're asking about, let me see. Are you talking about the GoFundMe link? You go to thegreatquran.com. If you go to my page where you can access the Quran, thegreatquran.com, you find the link there. It's on the page, right? Fatima Chin, thank you. Abdul Abbas, Bilal Jibril, Waya, I see you. Bilal, thank you. I see Tariq Ayub, yes. Sister Stussy, Layla Ed, thank you very much. She says, nice program. Thank you. Thank you all. Sister Natalie, yes, thank you all. Balogun, thank you very much. Balogun Olayinka. Yes, I appreciate your presence. Thank you. I apologize if I'm not able to answer some of your questions. I'll come back to it next week, inshallah. Or let's see if I have time in the near future. But I think tomorrow I might have a program with Dr. Omar Zaid, right? I think Dr. Omar Zaid, right? We might have a program tomorrow, right? So I don't know, maybe he might telecast it later on, but I don't know if we are streaming live. But whatever it is, I'll keep you posted. Thank you very much. Hey, Salis, Jimmy, I see you. Thank you very much. So I'm going to continue on TikTok for a bit before I go. So if you are on TikTok, you can join me there. I'll just be on there a bit before I go. So for those on Facebook, YouTube, this is where I end the topic for today. And we continue next week, inshallah. Let's listen to this guy before I go.
Hey, Christians, you're confused. You hear that? We are the confused one, not him. Okay, let's continue.